and welcome to the Flyover state of film, coming to you from the dungeon of the Lord, the Mad Titan Thanos, where the trophies of my victims lay around me. Invited to my glorious Halloween celebration, I have brought the worst of the worst, and also Frozone. We have from the depths, the nightmare pit that is New Jersey, Freddy Krueger.
Welcome to prime time, bitch.
Oh, and in a place where they could actually probably use a few more bullies after getting his punk ass ran out of town by Daniel San, Johnny Lawrence has taken up residence in Cincinnati.
Daniel San kicked me in the face, bitch.
And one guy I had to let on my show because even though he's a pathetic, pitiful hero, he somehow survived my snap. And he's got that cool, sweet, dulcet tones of Samuel L. Jackson. So thanks for joining us, Frozone.
Where's my super suit, motherfucker?
That's the one thing I always thought Incredibles was missing, was just like straight up dropping F-bombs.
Stuff a motherfucker.
Guys, I gotta commend everybody's commitment to their costumes. I really appreciate, we all play it. We're 90s kids. A lot of us, well, me especially, I'm older, so I'm like a 90s kid, and trying is like totally uncool and putting an effort. So I'm glad to see we all bucked the trend and showed our ass
the
here.
hardest.
We two-strapped.
What are you talking about, man? This is just my normal everyday, no, let me tell you exactly what it is. I love Halloween. Halloween's been my shit for years and years and years and years. I have a kid and I don't get to go to parties anymore. And when I take him out to trick or treat, unless I'm doing something that's like with him that we're together doing, I don't like to be that dad who's like, look out, move over, son, so everybody can see my costume, and going up to houses with him and overshadowing him and shit. So this really, I didn't realize it until, like I said, about a week and a half ago, that this was really like scratching my Halloween itch. And so thank you for that.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So Frozen survived your snap, but his skin color didn't.
No, I know, right?
Frozone,
The snap, one of the side effects is you get vitiligo, and so that's how Frozone, he just skated under the radar.
Icy Arctic conditions, guys,
It's good. Let's open a beer.
Oh, yeah, we didn't do our crack, our proper
Frozone's
crack.
a bit thirsty, right?
All right, I gotta abandon my master. There's nobody powerful enough in this room to take it from me anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and properly.
I'll get you in your dreams, you slut.
That's true. You probably could have survived the snap, because you're like an ethereal being.
I already died.
You all right, buddy?
Mm-hmm. So, we're going to get into our big Halloween extravaganza. We're going to talk about some horror franchises. But real quick, right off the top, Joe had a really good question for everybody. And I like that that he opened it up to not just movies. So hit us up, Joe. Tell us what you wanted to hear. What you want to know?
Yeah, so if you're going to do a Halloween triple feature, right? I want to know what movies and or TV shows mixed in there, or specials, Halloween specials, you would choose. Anyone really started off? And
let me go first, because I know there's
Brian,
one that me and you are going to share. So I'm going to steal it and say it first, and that's Simpsons Treehouse of Horror.
Oh, hell yeah.
Definitely the first 10 of them are just ingrained in my mind.
That's what
then even after that, the worst season of The Simpsons still always has a great Treehouse of Horror in it. So
yeah, you always look forward to that one.
That's the one.
Always a good segment. I wrote down that it's weird. Actually, 4, 5, and 6 were knockouts.
Yeah.
5 is considered the best one with The Shining.
6 is the one with Kang, Citizen Kang, right?
I think it's Citizen Kang, the Nightmare on Elm Street parody.
Oh yeah,
I just rewatched them, so it's I have to kind of cycle through them all. But I think that's it's always the number of the episode is always one season behind, because they didn't start Treehouse of Horror till season 2. So
Yes.
it's always like but anyway, that's one of them. Do you want me to do all
original's great.
three, or do you want to kind of like cycle through, or how did you want to do this
Whatever. I
question,
mean,
Joe?
Do all three.
You raged
Do all
my
three?
boner when you said Treehouse of Horror. So
My
one I do
is-
want to
Keep them up.
shout out in Treehouse of Horror is it's a newer one, and it's actually a fucking solid one. Is when they did the Great Pumpkin.
Oh yeah, I like that one too.
That's a great
That's
one.
the one.
Anyway,
That's like
doesn't get
a
enough
couple
love.
seasons in. That's probably like 14 or 16
That's
or something.
2010.
But it seems
so-
like
Yeah,
you were
so
saying, like, I don't
That's
watch.
that's a later one.
Yeah. And
Anyway,
watch those-
my apologies for cutting you off. I just wanted to get that in
No,
there.
that's the thing. We should keep moving because we could just name Treehouse of Horror episodes all day. Be like, that's a really funny one.
love
My
it,
other
yeah.
two, real quick. One I'm always championing. It's not like set at Halloween, but I always feel like it really feels like a Halloween movie and like captures the spirit of the season. And that's The Frighteners. Michael J. Fox, directed by Peter Jackson, Jake Busey. Dee Wallace. It's so good. And then the other thing, and I know it's not in vogue to talk about right now, but it's part of my childhood, and that's the Roseanne Halloween
Yes.
You've been saying that for years.
Halloween episodes, and like she can't take that away from me. You know what I mean?
We've just been taken off YouTube.
Right. Like,
But I'm
I'm
telling
a
you,
enjoy those.
all of
So,
the TGIF shows had great Halloweens. The Family Matters ones with the dolls was great. Roseanne's great.
I always see that clip of the one where like Steve Urkel infects Carl Winslow with like the green. Like,
Yeah.
Is that the one with evil Urkel popped up in a Halloween episode?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
All right.
Yusef, why don't you go next?
So I wanted to go not so mainstream just in case somebody stole my movies. And I designed I picked 3 movies for a marathon. And I wanted to like mix the themes. So first I picked like a mind fuck that would just ruin your day just by watching it, which is Jacob's Ladder.
Oh,
That was on my list and I haven't gotten to it too. I love that movie.
Yeah, it's
Currently on Hulu.
It's so good. It's a Vietnam vet dealing with PTSD, and you're not sure what's real and what's not. So by the end of it, it's 2 hours long. You're just tired, and it's so much to deal with. So just to pick up your energy back up, I recommend watching Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Yeah.
It's a great horror. It's a great horror movie. It's funny.
One of the best meta horror movies, right up there with Behind the Mask. It's a really good one.
And now that you're like almost 4 hours in, you're tired, so you don't want a slow burn movie. I recommend a good one that is a mix of slow burn and also great kills, and it's actually scary. And I picked Candyman.
boom.
Oh, wow. I would have been able to sleep
I
that
haven't
night.
got to yet, but it's been on my list to revisit again. Trying to get so many horror movies.
So that's my trilogy. Like my marathon is a little bit balanced, and you get to see a few of the corners of horror.
Let's do TJ and then Joe. Since it was your question, you can go last and wrap us up. How's that?
Yeah, I'm kind of following the Yusef trend where like you can start off slow. You might have your child with you. It could be like 7 o'clock at night on Halloween. You just got home trick or treating. A movie that doesn't really get pulled into the Halloween like scope for me that does is E.T. It has amazing Halloween scenes, great trick or treating scenes. It also has a great John Williams score with Magic of Halloween, which is one of the best soundtracks of that score. And then you go right from that once the kid goes to sleep. And for me, one of the best 90s Halloween based films I'm going to go to is Pet Sematary 2 with Eddie Furlong and Clancy Brown, and just having that really just like pure 90s. What's that?
I'm more of an original Pet Sematary guy.
Absolutely, but I'm looking
That's
for
a
like
really
goofiness of like the pure hardness of ET. You get into the goofiness of Pet Sematary 2, and then from there, like going from the pure kind of just like hard 90s that you can get out of that of him just like skinning rabbits, to clean it all off and to go into the more of the fun house craziness of it. I'm going for House of a Thousand Corpses, and I'm going to go for Rob Zombie as much as I go against him. That movie takes the fun house scare massacreness of just unrelentless Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and also this whole ungritty pureness of it, and just that's a great horror movie to end on.
Rob Zombie remade Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but he did it like a Rob Zombie video.
Yeah.
Just, like,
it's one of the few movies that disturbs me.
I like Devil's Rejects too, and I think what really makes me like Devil's Rejects is they pull off that. In wrestling, there's a term known as the double turn, and they do it in that movie where, like, by the end, you're afraid of the good guy and feel bad for the bad guy. And it's a fairly impressive feat. Like, people get on Rob Zombie, and I mean, I'm not trying to stand here and say he's the greatest filmmaker, but I think he gets a lot more flack than he deserves. He has a very,
and the casting.
I didn't mind Lords of Salem.
It's a little more trashy, you know?
Yeah, it's more of like in this wheelhouse of just being a pure, off the bat, his style thing without using someone's IP already. But we'll get into that.
And by the end, you just want to take a bath.
All right, Joe, round us out.
All right, so I'm going to just rattle off my TV one real quick. Almost any of the 90s Nick Halloween specials. I love the Rocko's Modern Life Halloween special. Yeah. The Real Monsters Switching Hour episode, and the Rugrats original Halloween episode would be a nice little triple feature.
Where's that Doug, baby?
Oh, the Doug one's great. I was watching it right before this. Where the girl
I think the Real Monster one was like when he first got really attached to God, it was Sid, yeah, where he like
that was I think one of the pilot episode maybe.
And he gets stolen, taken in as a little brother, but he's not the little brother. That's a great thing.
Yeah, and then the Hey Arnold, a better episode than their Halloween one is one where they do a Headless Horseman parody called Headless Cabby. That's actually kind of scary.
That's my son's costume this year.
Headless Horseman. That.
Oh, that's awesome.
But then my triple feature is really basic because I'm a basic bitch.
It's like every 2 sentences.
Bitch. You start with Trick or Treat.
Beautiful.
Then you go Funhouse Massacre, which I just oozes Halloween. And then if you want to go light, I would go Goosebumps.
Oh.
Or you watch the original Halloween on Halloween.
Yeah. That's 2 great picks, because also you can go light.
I've seen Trick or Treat once, and I didn't love it. But I loved Krampus, and I hear so many people talking about how much they like it. I feel like it deserves a revisit. So I need to get around to that.
Krampus is awesome. I love Krampus.
You should go around that.
Krampus is so good.
Yeah, the sound design is so good.
But it ain't for Halloween.
No, agreed.
We got into that Twitter scrap a couple weeks ago.
If you're arguing what movie is Halloween or Christmas, you're part of the problem, Joe.
No, but that's pure Christmas. That's not like
you're part of the problem, man.
Negativity online, man. What's wrong with you? All right. We're gonna do just a real quick. There's just a couple little topics we decided we wanted to talk about. I brought up them pushing back Wonder Woman. I just want to get it out there that I feel like this is them distancing themselves from Aquaman.
Yes.
Aquaman's almost done. It's ready to come out. All the execs have seen it. They realize it sucks ass. It's going to bomb hard. They're going to give it enough time. They're going to let Shazam come out. A whole year and almost more than a year is going to go by. Then Wonder Woman 2, and then they will begin to rebuild. I'm not trying to be negative. It's just like it feels like like I'm just trying to put myself in the mindset of an executive. Like, why would I take a movie that is so hotly anticipated and it still has so much time to be worked on and push it next summer? It was supposed to come out at the end of next year. It's not going to come out till summer 2020 now. Yeah. Like, that's crazy.
You hit the nail on the head. Oscar nominee Wonder Woman immediately deserves a sequel. I mean, they're distancing themselves.
They push it back like 7 months. That doesn't make any sense. Between now and their release date, they could shoot 3 Wonder Woman movies.
I'm trying to. You wouldn't poop out all that promo. Also.
Well, yeah. I mean, the release date is supposed to be like June 9th, and supposedly that release date bears with something quintessential in the Wonder Woman what it's done over the years. So it's an anniversary of some date. That's the excuse they're using. I don't want to call it an excuse.
That's a flimsy reasoning to change a full release date.
I just want to get that out. Really kind of obvious. It doesn't paint the best Aquaman. Although I will say I bought a toy of Mira. Cool looking, and I always like to buy toys of women characters because they're very rare.
Do you ever think that, do you think they're gonna cut their way off of Shazam though? Because I think that has a more of a positive feed, I guess, right now.
Right, I think Shazam's come out like pretty early summer, right? Yeah, so that's still a whole year between Shazam and Wonder Woman. Yeah. So to come out, be well received, and come out on DVD, and Wonder Woman even comes out, and then if Wonder Woman's good and well received, as it will be, then you can rebuild your Justice League based on those two, and you can just ignore everything else, and you can bring in, because you got enough characters, you could bring in Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter. There's enough like top level Justice League characters to fill out the roster and build it around Wonder Woman. They don't need Batman and Superman. And then they can bring him in 5 more years, totally recast them. You know, I don't know. Just saying.
No, that's a great idea. I mean, you're hurting the Wonder Woman because it was successful, and I don't have faith in the sequel, just because I think there's gonna be too much of a 80s leaning. But that's just me. I mean, still want it to be great. And
I think the fact that it is in the 80s is probably the best thing it has going forward, is because if it does cut loose, if it does go modern time, we don't know as of right now what is modern time. Maybe just Shazam and whatever matter.
Whoa, you heard it.
And current day to have a break in the timeline, have a new Flash come in and do a Flashpoint. Yeah. There's all sorts of things they can change and reset their universe.
Yeah. You heard it here first. Kristen Wiig is trouble on set, and they had a post-production because Chitara is not working. Ooh, first, got the hot scoop.
Damn, this guy's scooping. Call him. Hey, don't ignore his call. It could change your fucking life, man.
I don't know what you're talking about, bitch.
Wait, do you know her Chitara?
I don't know her name.
It's Cheetah. It's an animal name.
Chitara is from Thundercat. That's reasonable to confuse them.
I
have a friend, a good friend, who thought the Flash and Flash Gordon were the same people. So people think crazy things.
Okay, so now this goes to me. Brian, you guys, all of you, I believe all 3 of you are big fans of this. And we'll talk about the Netflix cancellations leading to that, because you guys love American Vandal. They're canceling all the Marvel shows. I don't care for American Vandal. I didn't see it. I'm not hating on it. I just never saw it, so I don't.
The Marvel show thing didn't surprise me, especially with Disney's service. I figured anything low that wasn't getting a lot of views or that was going to be expensive to produce, they were going to move anyway. That's not a surprise. Yeah. American Vandal isn't a surprise. I'm actually surprised American Vandal got a 2nd season. When I watched it, I was like, this is great. Nobody's ever going to watch this. And then and it got a 2nd season, and they're both really good. I'm never one to push people to watch shows because there's so much shit out there. You got time for what you got time for. You got to make your choices. Yeah. It's really good, though, not just on a funny, dumb parody level, but like really smart satire, really smart. The way they kind of like, in a roundabout way, talk about like the kind of dynamic in high schools and teacher-student shit and students and the new, and like in the 2nd season, social media, kind of like an updated version, a more like it's really I said, it impressed me in a way. I went in just being like, dick jokes, hilarious. Like, they're taking it so serious. That's so funny. And then I was phenomenal. Like, there's a lot more going on in this show. It's really pretty impressive.
It's not only that they, like Brian said, it's actually funny and well made, is that they used the genre of documentary, like the tropes documentaries fall into, and they exploited them as a parody. But like everything is taken super seriously, even though they're talking about dicks. Everything is super serious, even though they're talking about poop. But the way that they're interviewing, the way that they're confessing, the way that they find evidence, it's just like you would see in Making a Murderer or stuff like that, that takes itself super seriously because it's a serious topic, but they're talking about dick jokes.
Now,
So
here's
it's-
a question for you guys, because you all seen it, and this is just for me. I've never seen it. I know about the thing. I know it's like the guy who did Vine. He was a star. Now, when they do these, like Brian was saying, for me, it was more pushed down my throat as a spoof and a ploy on these things. Like, you make it seem like it's a lot deeper than what it was. And
Yeah, I don't think it was. That's why I was surprised it didn't. It like when it got a second season, I was surprised because I didn't think they
Everyone
sold
loves
it.
it.
Like it
Everyone loved it.
really leaned into the like kind of sophomoric dick joke of it,
Yeah.
and they didn't really explain. And I don't know how you could explain how like detailed. And if you're a fan of like true crime shit, you watch true crime documentaries.
Yeah.
It's such a good satire and parody of those.
Yep.
And then like I said, on top of that, there's this layer of like kind of the school dynamic and social dynamic of what it's like to be in high school and teachers and students. It's really like I would never tell. Like I said, there's so much content out there. You got to make your choices, but I would say give it if you're a fan of true crime as a genre, definitely give it a shot. Like and let it do its
I'll give
thing.
you guys this. I will watch the first episode, and I'll get back to you on the next episode of this, and I'll let you know if I followed through or didn't. But real quick, does anyone care about the Marvel show cancellations?
Nope.
Not at all.
No.
All right, moving on.
I've heard Daredevil season 3 is good, but I still
Oh, it's good. It's good.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's good.
I haven't watched it. I still gotta finish Hill House.
I felt like keeping up with. I haven't watched anything since Defenders, so
It's good.
All right.
I'll put up with that.
I haven't watched anything since Daredevil season 2.
We're moving on. Next segment. Hold on. I can make it kind of snap. Pretty good. It's almost like a snap. You see it?
I'm not feeling good, Mr.
I don't feel so good, Mr. Kruger.
Anybody turn into dust now? All right.
Oh, we lost you, Steph.
If you tuned in, what was it, 2 weeks ago, right? That we like set these. It was 2 episodes ago, so a month ago. If you were checking out our show a month ago, we all picked a franchise that we wanted to revisit in the month of October in its entirety. Well, its entirety to us, whatever that means. We can get into that as we go. So we all picked a horror franchise that was either beloved by us or wanted to be revisited, maybe because we hadn't gotten a chance to, whatever the reasons. And now we're going to talk about all of them. It's going to be great. I want to start out with Yusef.
What?
He picked what I consider this might be the franchise that has the best movie to quality ratio.
Yes.
Because it's only 4 movies and all of them are pretty good. Even the one that's the bad one is pretty good. So Yusef, tell us about your pick.
So I'm gonna nerd out a little bit. First off, I'm gonna give you my rankings, and then I'll go
rankings. Damn, look how
I don't care about format.
Not what we discussed in the chat.
I ain't afraid of no format.
I'm firing up the
again. So my rankings are 1, 2, 4, and 3.
Oof.
That's mine too, actually.
Yeah.
That would be mine.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So let's start off with Scream, which set the tone immediately for that franchise. I like how it subvert expectations. Not only does it play with the horror tropes, it actually manipulates the audience into thinking that stuff is going to happen, but it never happens. And one of the great ways that it does that is through music, like minuscule things like Sid, played by Nev Campbell, opening a closet door. The music swells up, and you as an audience, knowing the tropes of horror, you're expecting somebody to be either inside the closet or once she closes the closet door, there's somebody going to be there. But it actually never happens. So you're getting accustomed to the score not meaning anything. So when the score swells up and a scare actually comes, it takes you by surprise, which is a little small detail that is very cool from Wes Craven. One detail actually, again, with I have a lot of notes. Sorry. One cool detail about music too is, spoiler alert for the entire franchise, obviously. When they introduce Billy, Sid is listening to "Don't Fear the Reaper," which is a nice subtle hint at who Billy
thinks he would be listening to.
It's a nice subtle hint at
Red
who.
right hand.
I love Red Right Hand. That's a great song.
Another cool detail is that Randy solves the mystery in the Blockbuster type video store, when he tells that Billy is the killer. And that is something that happens also. Spoiler alert! In the second one, once he's talking to Dewey about the new rules of the sequel, he tells like, "Oh, just look at Friday the 13th. Nobody expected Jason's mom to be the killer, and it ends up being Billy's mom as the killer." So Wes Craven,
shout out. Let me pause us right now, because the thing that 2 is great, but fucking Laurie Metcalf, she's off the chain in that one.
Yes,
it's
I'm gonna
so
get there.
good. And I remember
Laurie Metcalf's just
my Roseanne shit is out on display in this episode anyway, so I was already obviously a fan. And when she popped up, I was like, "Oh damn, Jackie!" And then when she comes in the end, and she is just like unhinged, I love it so much.
We're gonna get there. So,
okay, I didn't mean that, but I think you talked. I couldn't. I'm already biting my tongue because
please interrupt.
I love Scream too. Nobody picked a franchise I don't like. I wish somebody would have picked a franchise I don't like. Like somebody should have picked the fucking Insidious movies or something.
I just wanted to nerd out on stuff that I always notice and I haven't been able to talk. So I like how they set up the rules, yet all of them fall into those tropes. Especially Randy likes to point out the obvious in terms of the rules, yet he's watching Halloween on the screen and he's yelling to Laurie, "Oh look, the killer's behind you," when literally a killer is behind him. I like how that
bit with the tape delay in that movie is such
good.
An amazing bit.
And they set it up.
Something I'd never seen anything like that in a movie before, and since even like they've never nobody's ever hit that same note the same way that I can remember.
Nope. And it was set up.
A genius.
Yes, and it was set up perfectly because it's not like a gotcha moment. They just set it up in the beginning, like, "Oh, you're still in the house, but you're in the van, so you know." I'm hearing myself. Somebody has an echo. Sorry. All right. So I like that they didn't dehumanize the slasher. Like normally, like in Halloween, he's like a ghoul, or Friday the 13th, he's like a demon in your dreams, or zombies, or whatever the case may be. It's just a kid with a sense of it's just a psycho that just wants to kill somebody because. We'll get there. All right. So one of the things is that I like that it flipped the final girl trope, and where Neve Campbell's Sid takes control of the situation and starts to hunt Billy and Stu.
I was gonna say, can we take just a quick second? No spoilers for anybody else's franchise. I think I guess we have a couple other final girls in here. Maybe we can save it to the very end, but here's something at least to think about. Best final girls. I think Sydney's up there. I'll just throw it out there. I know we got a couple others. We're all gonna
strong.
I was gonna say Sydney.
Laurie Strode, Sydney, and Nancy. We have a very strong cast that we're gonna talk about. So we can get to maybe at the end we can talk about that a little more.
I'm gonna say Sydney because not only does she survive 4 movies, she kills 7 people.
And also, can I just add in at the same time, at the beginning of this, they pull the whole psycho on us where they kill someone who we think is going to be a star in this.
Yes.
Right off the bat.
Drew Barrymore was she was a big champion of the script, and some kind of scheduling conflict. She was supposed to be Sydney, and then it just didn't work out or something. But I think that's the best. That's a great swerve, because I remember
not to delve into mine. Oh, I'm sorry.
Not to delve into mine. You're trying to talk over me, so just go ahead.
Go, Joe. Go. I have a lot to say.
No, not into mine. I was just saying, it's very reminiscent of. You think the girl that you lead off with in Nightmare, just like the same, is going to be your passenger through the film, and ends up dying midway through.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe not a star, but a lot of the same tropes, like Scream and Nightmare, are both based off the sins of the parents.
Yep.
Anyway.
Oh, we'll delve more into horror master Wes Craven when we get into your pick, Joe.
All right. So one final tribute that I like quick, actually, let me point out something that Halloween obviously ripped off Sid's PTSD and training for the eventuality of Ghostface coming back.
Don't be trying to like.
I'm sorry. All right, let's go. But
no.
But actually, there's a cool tribute that I noticed once I was rewatching, when Sydney throws the television on top of Stu. There's the scene playing of Halloween where Jamie Lee Curtis is about to stab Michael Myers. So literally, it's just like the final girl killing a bad guy with a final girl, which was.
Can I say how much I love Stu's? I love Stu's line where he goes, "My parents are gonna be so mad at me." Like that, like mentality of a kid who like didn't realize what he was doing had consequences till right now. It's just such a great little moment for him.
Also, to play off of that, with Scream that works so well is, along with these other horror movies that have the one quintessential killer or antagonist, Scream has, throughout its films, one or two people at the same time, or three people have also strong motives to where you can actually get behind and understand what they're doing. So it doesn't really get that jumbled. Like 3, it does get a little wild, but 1, 2, 4, you understand where it's coming from. So like, it's not a Michael Myers, it's not a Freddy Krueger, but it's 5 different people who killed it. Laurie Metcalf, Matthew Lillard, the fake
young Timothy Oliphant too. I mean, you can't throw that under the bus. Like he's
three.
No.
Three's more fun than you think.
I'm gonna get there. Let me rattle off so we can.
Jeez, we gotta sit here and listen to a monologue, or are we gonna discuss?
No, we're having a discussion, man.
No, because I wanna kill my franchise because it's just 4 movies and you guys have a lot of movies to talk about. All right, so
I'm not gonna talk about everyone.
So Scream 2 is just more of the same of 1 in terms of they keep satirizing the horror genre, but this time they tackle the sequels. The new rules are like bloodier. Wait, I have them written down here.
More Jerry O'Connells. That is a classic horror movie rule that always the sequel has more Jerry O'Connells.
But what I like about
Jerry O'Connell,
double the Jerry O'Connell.
He slid right in there. You know what I mean?
So I like the
I like how big of a laugh my sliders joke just got. That's why this show rules.
This is the sequel to SLC Punk.
I like how this is giving me like this is hot. Okay, so I like that the motivation is a commentary.
Don't ever put character Spanish.
I like how the motivation is a commentary on how how society blames pop culture on victims like movies, video games, or music influence killers. So Timothy, like he's the killer in the end, and he's trying to blame movies, and that's a great social commentary, especially for Wes Craven, since he's dedicated his whole life to do horror movies. He's probably heard that time and time again.
Well,
and in this movie, go ahead.
I'm sorry to cut in because I won't get into mine. I've been deep diving so much into Wes Craven and more Nightmare, and where a lot of that came from is and it's actually where like a scene in New Nightmare came from, which we'll get to talk about. Is they were at like a television interview show. And it was about the dangers of movies with horror icons. And then Robert Englund comes out, and they're talking about it, and the kids are chanting Freddy, and the parents look mortified. And that's where Wes Craven really saw that in effect. Like, oh, the kids fucking eat this up, and the parents are terrified.
Genius.
So
he's even making fun of society, but also pointing it out. And I also like how they subverted the trope of every serial killer blames their mother. And in this case, Laurie, like Brian said, which comes in like full hamming it up and just she literally steals the entire movie, and she's in the movie for like 5 minutes in terms of that her real personality, and she's blaming her motivation is her son, like is the reverse of what normally serial killers tend to say. All right, Scream 3 is the weakest in my opinion. It's very force fed. They even sneaking a Randy again, saying the rules.
It's the worst.
It's so good. It's so bad.
And I also think the stuff with the ghost mom is really dumb too.
Yes.
Yeah, and they're making a movie of the movie of the movie. It's like meta.
You know your movie's rough when you got that Jay and Silent Bob cameo. Although does counterbalance with Carrie Fisher though, so it's hard to like.
But it is also in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, where the monkey is the killer.
True.
And they're on the set of like Scream, like I think supposed to be like 5.
I like that because Wes Craven's actually in like, and then Shannon Doherty in that. That's
and so is Carrie Fisher.
I used to be such a big Kevin Smith fan, and I'm like literally afraid to revisit some of his movies.
James Bob Back is still pretty goddamn fun.
I haven't seen it in a while.
If you're new to watching it, don't. I just remember it.
Right, it's one of those things where maybe you need to bring something to it. Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, I don't get it.
I'm definitely still a fan of old school Smith because Clerks is like a top 5 for me. It's such a classic.
Mallrats.
Bite your tongue.
All right, let's wait. We interrupted Yusuf's monologue.
Come on, man.
I'm sure he's got to get into 4.
I'm writing my essay here. Okay. Also, this has like the worst kill in the entire franchise. Like a movie franchise that is so grounded in just a guy with a knife killing people. There's a sequence where he becomes Saw for some reason. He's faxing the papers to a group, and he's like, "I'm gonna forgive the person that smells the gas," and suddenly a guy lights his lighter and the house blow up. So that's probably the worst sequence in the entire franchise.
But the Halloween franchise suffers from that too, of like trying to make Michael Myers a creative killer in the later entries, and you're like, that's not his. He just stabs. That's his thing.
Guys, the whole fucking this whole episode is spoilers. So just talk.
Well, yeah, but I just mean like I don't want to get it clouded up by talking about my franchise. Now we're gonna get to it, but
you meant like spoilers of the show. I'm sorry, I thought you meant of the movie. I'm like,
everybody,
right. I just didn't want to like one of my things that I was noticing on my rewatch. I was just kind of bringing it to bear here.
But they do have a great social commentary once again in this one, and this one tackles what the Hollywood actresses go through, having to sleep with directors and all that stuff, and how they burn, they use and burn the actresses. That's the thing
about, you can't take away from the cast of Scream 3 because Lance Henriksen too. Like,
I'm just gonna show all the names of the cast. I'm not gonna read them because I'm already running low.
Speaking of that commentary on Hollywood, I mean, who produced Scream?
Yeah, I know.
Who was a Miramax?
So it also has a good. I'm gonna ignore you, Joe. It also have a good meta line in where she says, "It's your turn to scream, asshole," after she kills the bad guy, which is awesome. But I don't want to touch that. My franchise has that shadow over it.
No. So, I didn't mean that. I just meant. I think
to be fair, I believe the Rose McGowan thing happened after Scream. I mean, I'm sure he had his eye on her because he's a gross fucking creep.
Yeah,
but it didn't happen until she was working on the movie Phantoms with Ben Affleck, which
Phantoms
is an underrated movie. I'll say it right now: Phantoms, underrated.
Wow, this is a heavy Kevin Smith show.
Yeah,
it's true. But Affleck was the bomb in Phantoms, yo.
Why nobody dressed up as a Kevin Smith person?
Oh man, me and my buddy did Jay and Silent Bob one year. It was really good, and he legit ball tagged me when we were doing it.
Brian,
hardest part of that costume is staying quiet for 2. I did it for
especially you.
It was brutal. It was fucking brutal because I am the way I am.
Kevin Smith, and I'll do new Weight Watchers Kevin Smith.
I cannot. It weirds me out when I see Kevin Smith now. I'm always like, does he have cancer? Is he all right?
What weirds me out is like he won't shut up about losing weight. That's the only thing.
God damn it, he's healthy.
He's making money off of it.
All right, so Scream 4 is the last one. Is awesome.
How many years between 3 and 4? 10?
I have the dates here actually.
2000. Wait. 2013.
11 years.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Yep.
His last film.
Full disclosure, I'm not a big Emma Roberts fan, but
No.
she is good in this.
She's
She goes
great.
crazy well.
She's great when she's crazy. Yes. So despite having the shitty opening, like that's probably the thing that I hate most about this movie. Like all the screams has great killings in the beginning that are meant to set the tone.
I don't really remember the opening of the fourth.
So the opening of the fourth is like a meta joke in where two girls are watching Stab, and one of the girls kills her, but it's actually
they're all celebrities.
But they're all watching.
I think
Stab.
I liked it, but like it went too long. Like it was fine, but they did it like too many times or something.
It's cute.
But I like the premise of the actual movie. It's the 10th anniversary of the massacre that occurred. And the killers are recreating the original killings. So you're watching the recreations of the killings, which is pretty cool. But I also like that it sets itself up to be like a passing of the torch. But the original cast survives and all the new kids die, which was hilarious to me. And I also love the motivation in this one, which is also again a great social commentary on people obsessing with becoming infamous or famous by killing, especially now in this social media environment where people just become like this infamous entity after killing so many people.
Bitch. What I want to ask you, Yusuf, though, have you given any of the? So I love the Scream franchise.
That's my monologue.
And I know this is a detour in the Scream franchise, but have you given any of the show any watch? I know it's not on anymore, but it was actually a kind of a solid little ride of its first season.
Yeah, I think I watched a few episodes on Netflix.
It wasn't
when
awful.
There was nothing on, and I put it on, and then something was on, and I stopped watching.
Yeah, I appreciated that, at least trying to do something different and a mask and wasn't just trying to retell you a story you saw in 10 episodes.
Yeah.
At first watching it, you thought, oh, wow, anyone can die. And then it did this thing where, okay, just like stabilized. And like, well, we can't keep killing off the cast, which was a little annoying. But that's not as bad as I think its reputation leads. But no, that first Scream is undeniably rewatchable.
And something that you young bucks can't understand is the impact that Scream had. Like I was a teenager when Scream came out, and it dropped like a bomb in horror because through the late 80s, early 90s, some of our favorite franchises that we all love dearly had kind of killed the whole genre, though. Like, they overdid it with sequels. They dropped the quality fell out, the bottom fell out, and literally horror was like a B thing. There was no mainstream horror leading into like 96. It was a straight to video world for horror for the most part.
No, I also feel like Kevin Williams, as the screenwriter of both Scream and also at the time of hit Dawson's Creek, he had the in touch of the time. And
he had his hand on the pulse of the teens of the day for sure, 100%.
So like when that happened, I know you did last summer, Urban Legends. You had these teen horror films that all were meta.
Scream spawned a whole generation of some of my favorite. We're gonna get into Halloween H2O, but also Bride of Chucky. Like some of my favorite franchise revivals came in the wake of Scream's kind of like too cool. We're not gonna do horror in the same way anymore. Like,
but even
mentality,
as Yusuf picked Scream, like
New Nightmare too, and we'll talk about.
Ghostface took over, or also vitalize the mask
icon.
the mask villain.
Aside from, I mean, who has been one since then? Aside from maybe Jigsaw, would be the only other one I could think of since Ghostface.
I will say one thing about Ghostface itself is the films are creepy. Ghostface is not scary. but he's scary in the sense that it is anyone wearing that outfit,
Right.
and they could wear that, and he falls down, and
it could be
fumbles,
someone
but he
who
still gets
you think likes you or treat, you know what I mean? Like it could be someone close to you. That's what's scary
Matthew
about
Lillard, I think, not the boyfriend, Matthew Lillard. Matthew Lillard played that part to a T of being the guy who is right next to you and is also murdering everyone around you.
But even from like the first scene, he shows no empathy when that girl gets killed. It's like this guy's kind of showing me his true colors right off the bat.
And fun fact also, Ghostface never dies in a sense that all of the death occur once the mask is off.
Yeah.
So
nobody
Ghostface
gets killed as Ghostface.
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
And it's basically like a passed on thing.
And it's such an interesting franchise that they use that Neve Campbell. I'm sorry, I can't
Nev.
Yeah, Neve Campbell is the lead on that. Like she's a very interesting lead.
Right.
Like it's not a generic.
And that series is drenched with actors. Like it has so many actors.
Oh yeah. The cast in all of those is really.
And I love
so many actors.
Commentary on the media too, and like journalism, and like almost like if it was made if they had made.
And it brought us the union of Courtney Cox and David Arquette. So
it did.
It also
had to change your name on Friends. Big deal.
Yeah. You know that Neve Campbell and Matthew Lillard were dating during the filming.
That's weird. But also doing the same thing where like it takes these women, these stars of the time, women, Drew Barrymore, murder them first. Sarah Michelle Gellar at the height of Buffy, they murder her first in Scream 2 or like
Jada Pinkett Smith.
Yeah, like they just keep those things and they're just like, hey, let's just take these stars and let's kind of flip the script on it, and like we could take that and lead right into Joe's because Wes Craven and what Joe picked up. Well, you want to go in, Joe?
This was my essay on Scream.
Yeah, I was gonna. Unless we have anything else to say about Scream, that's fine. We can segue right in. Although, do anybody want to do favorite kills, favorite franchise kills? Anybody up for that?
Yeah,
I love the.
I'm gonna have to take Drew Barrymore.
I'll do in the movie theater in Scream 2
solid,
with the knife through the ear.
Ooh,
and scary movie when the dick goes through
with the dick, of course. Yeah. High quality.
I'm gonna
have to take Drew Barrymore.
Yeah, I'm gonna write off Drew Barrymore would probably be my number one pick because that hanging her with the intestines is insane. But also I'm gonna go with Joe's because Scream 2 with Jada Pinkett Smith riding up on the stage of the movie during Stab, like its premiere, and doing the whole like thing that no one's doing.
One commentary though. I would hate to be at that fucking screening.
That screening looked miserable.
Rowdy.
That looked awful.
But it's opening night. I want to see the movie. It's not a 30-year-old fucking Rocky Horror Picture Show.
How would you be her? And I mean, come on.
Anyway.
My favorite kill goes to Rose McGowan, Tatum in the garage door.
Oh yeah.
I love how they set up the garage door though. There's a lot of foreshadowing of her.
That sounds.
You know what that means?
It's prime time, bitch.
Ooh, look, I'm Iron Man also. They kind of have the same noise.
Do you know what Iron Man dreams about?
Punani. All right. Joe, let us what we all know what you picked. It's on your face.
I picked The Lake House with Keanu Reeves. We all know I love The Lake House. That's no secret. But I will I'll also read off my list first. I'll just start that. I put one to couple word descriptions to each one, and then I'll just talk about. Number one is,
you know what? You do you, man. However you want to. I mean,
my number one is.
Did you prepare an essay?
I did not prepare an essay. My number one is.
Thank God, we don't need another boring ass. Oh, I mean, hey, Youssef, good job, great segment. Anyway, back to Joe.
My number one is New Nightmare. I absolutely love that movie. I think it's the strongest film in the franchise, let alone the scariest. My one note is Perfection. A Nightmare on Elm Street is number 2.
And I had to hold myself back from talking about how New Nightmare thing before Scream. It's like meta before it. You know, Wes Craven had this great idea, and people didn't get into it, and he was like, "Well, I'll take another run at it with Scream."
Yeah, you should have interrupted me instead of Joe.
Yeah, New Nightmare bleeds. Really bleeds into Scream. And I'll talk more about New Nightmare. I love in New Nightmare, though, how he said, oh, yeah, I watched the whole series before, because he left after 3 fully. He's like, I watched the whole series, and it just didn't make a sense. So he brought it back, and I have the more New Nightmare makeup done. That's what I was going for.
Looks good.
It's just easy to do.
You're still fucking handsome. It pisses me off. I'm like, God, he's still handsome. Son of a bitch.
Number 2 would be the original. Also, just perfection. A Nightmare on Elm Street kicked it off. Once again, it's more horror filled. He's not as funny. It's just clever. There's a lot of things working. Yeah,
what
in
a great
its favor.
idea! Like he really just had a like what a weird and kind of interesting idea.
And what I like what you said, Joe, is like he's not as funny. And that first one, while he's funny, he's more toying with the people. He finds
sadistic.
He finds
I feel like
funny.
2 is like that also.
He finds it funny that he can fuck with them. It's not like he's trying to be funny. He's just enjoying the evilness he's doing to them.
He's there to do a job, and I do think they capture in that first one. They set the ground rules, and it gets a little muddy, and then it goes back to it is, oh, you need the full fear to get the kill, and there's like the horror of the body dragging in the hallway. Straight up, that's still scary.
Great images ever that you have is They try to reenact that. I know you're going to bring this up, and
just let me get angry about that later.
Yeah.
Number 3 is Dream Warriors, which I think it set the tone of the franchise for what it became. But it's one of the 80s nightmares. It's the funnest. It's a superhero movie.
Definitely
of
the kind of more like sillier sequels. It's not.
I'm trying to think,
best one, and it has the best ideas. Like it's got the it's the germ.
It has
the kind of take it out in 4 and 5, but the idea.
The marionette kill that kind of kickstarts the whole deal is awesome.
Yeah,
that's probably one of my favorite kills.
Yep. Actually, the whole movie is a solid fucking movie.
Yeah, it's
absolutely. Hell yeah. And then you got the Dawkins song, man. Back when horror movies had their own song. That's what we're missing out on, man.
Well, then after Dream Warriors, every film had their own song.
Yeah.
With one of my favorites, although the movie itself, not so much, is Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter by Iron Maiden. No, and then number 4, a bit controversial. I'm going Freddy vs. Jason. That movie fucking rules.
Hell
that
yeah.
movie's more of a Freddy movie.
Not mad.
And also, that movie's more of a Freddy movie than it is a Jason film.
Jason's just a tool in it, you know?
Yeah, and once again, it's a fucking blast. I mean...
Can I chime in with this?
Yeah, man. This is a conversation.
Dream Warriors and Freddy vs. Jason, the one thing I try to argue about Robert Englund is having a super different antagonist in these villains that we have, and having Freddy Krueger do these crazy things that he does in Dream Warriors, and actually having Robert Englund blossom into comedic murderer that he is, and have Freddy vs. Jason where he does this one thing with his claw against Kelly Rowland. He like clicks and points at Jason behind her. That one thing with his eyes and his face in the Freddy makeup is like it's just like one of those things like that's Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger compared to what certain actors tried to do portraying that character later on.
Yeah, he fully became that character, and he was like unleashed when he was in Freddy vs. Jason, for sure.
There's some dumb shit in Freddy vs. Jason, and like there's some bad performances or whatever, but like when it kicks off and you actually get to see Freddy and Jason go one-on-one, they do the dream fight, so Freddy has the advantage, and then you bring him into the real world, and then you have like a really brutal brawl. It's a blast. Like they like more so than even, and I'm a huge Alien and huge Predator guy, but way more than AVP. They actually pay off everything, you know?
I do love the kill though in the insane asylum of his buddy with the I think he's slitting his wrists.
Yeah.
And that kill's awesome. It's like spiraling out and he sees his dead brother in the bathtub.
Yeah. Zach Ward, America's favorite ginger. Zach.
Yes.
Second episode in a row, Zach Ward. Holler.
I do love how though in Freddy vs. Jason to our theme, they wanted Jay and Silent Bob, but they couldn't get Jay and Silent Bob, so they just have a mimic Jay.
Oh, that's the worst. The fake Jay. Although I do like his fat friend, who I think should have been Bobby Moynihan. I love that guy.
It looks like Bobby Moynihan. And this Everclear's kicking my ass, man.
I love. He's like, well, hey there, Jethro.
It also seems like awesome, like cornrow death scene film or like scene where it's just like, what?
Same director as Jason X
and Bride of Chucky.
And Bride of Chucky. No, I'm sorry, Bride of Chucky, not Jason.
Yeah, okay. Ronnie Yu. Bride of Chucky.
Ronnie Yu. I think he made a really fun flick, and it sits firm at 4. I was
also
a kid
the same
and I saw
composer as The Crow, Graham Revell.
Oh, really? I mean, it has a more dominant score, and I could get into the scores. I mean, all these other Nightmare films have the synth score, except Final Nightmare, which is a weird bastard child. But next, I will go with Dream Master. And after this, most of my notes are just, it's fine. Dream Master has some solid kills.
Yeah, good practical effects and stuff like that. Like,
I don't really love I don't like the actress. They replaced what's her face?
Patricia Arquette.
Alice. Yeah, Patricia Arquette with. I do like the other girl.
They kill her off pretty quick, though.
Yeah, I do like the other girl they trickle in as the lead, which is Alice. She's Kristen. But number 6, I'll go with Freddy's Revenge, Nightmare 2. I think it's not as bad originally. Of course, it's found new life in like the LGBT community. But it has its moments. It actually has one of my favorite kills and practical effects of him ripping off his head and seeing the brain just scare the fuck out of the kid.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I think I said earlier, but I think Freddy, like, they maintain his scariness in that one. Like, that's the last time I think he's really scary until New Nightmare.
Well, so I agree a tad bit. So what they did, and it's well known, but if no one else knows it, is they thought they could film the movie with a stunt actor. So there are a lot of things in that movie filmed with a stunt actor until they realized, we need Robert England to do the performance.
Because Freddy's about the personality. Like, you have to have the Freddy.
Yeah. So they left. They completely left. Wes Craven left too. And that's why Dream Warriors 3 kind of like rewrites with Dancy back. And the true star of the franchise, her father, John Saxon.
Fucking John Saxon, baby. Hell yeah. Why didn't he just karate chop fucking Freddy's head off?
Yeah. So, no, but so
John Saxon would kick Johnny Lawrence's ass, man. Okay, Yusef. I see you down there karate chopping. He would get broke off. Even Miyagi would get broke off by John Saxon. That dude was in Enter the Dragon.
Who would really win though? Johnny Lawrence or Frozone?
2's fine. It's the strangest Freddy movie because it doesn't follow the rules.
Which one?
2. I'm still on it. It just doesn't follow the rules.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
No, they all blend in, and then after that, like, this is where my ranking just gets one off than everyone else's. Is I found Freddy's Dead, the worst one, considered the worst one in the franchise. Does have the worst makeup. Like, it's awful.
Yeah.
It's a lot more toned down. It's weird.
I feel like that's a face mask.
That's like where they're really getting to, like, hey, kids like Freddy, so we got to make him less scary.
Well,
and like,
Roseanne Barr's in it. And John.
Come on, man.
I knew you would like that movie because of your love of trash, but that is the fucking worst.
Joe.
It's not only the worst.
I liked it in the sense of I will watch it again.
You're
But
fine.
I was one I found myself like,
But
oh,
what
like,
is the
there's
social
weird
commentary, Joe? What is the social commentary? What does it
Uh,
mean? Where's your essay?
No, Freddy's Dead is like, not only do I think it's the worst of that franchise, I think it represents the low point of every horror franchise that had those terrible sequels. It's
I
like the
hate-
epitome of what is wrong with like the over sequelization of horror movies that led to the death of it, leading before Scream and the kind of rebirth. So I understand you love trash because you love that shit the room and whatever.
I found
it's
it
awful.
I found it just weirdly enjoyable, but I hate what they did to the lore of it, right? With the dream demons and all that stuff.
I do like wearing my 3D glasses when I watch it though.
You can still order them. They're like $3 on eBay.
No, I have the old school DVD set. Mine came with.
No, I mean the
3D
ones they
glasses.
gave you in theaters with house party advertisements in it.
Oh damn! Nice.
You can get on
now I
eBay
kind of
for
want
$3.
those.
I might order them. And then I really fucking hated Dream Child. Like I was watching Dream Child.
That has the creepiest kid in freaking all the film, man.
No, that kid's like low rent Baby Gage. The kid in New Nightmare and who was Baby Gage in Pet Cemetery is way scarier than that kid.
I was so
what?
Pet
Cemetery kid is amazing.
Brian,
and they used him and they used him in New Nightmare.
And he's in New Nightmare, which is why he's so much better than the kid in Dream Child.
We'll get back to New Nightmare. And then hold on. The remake. I just want to talk about it.
That's the bottom. You're bottoming out your list with the remake?
Yes, my bottom is the remake. The remake, I actually had Dream Child as my last one. I didn't think I'd be so fucking mad rewatching a movie after binging a whole franchise with the remake. That is like a slap in the face to Nightmare on Elm Street. And then I read in the
just
trivia,
a brutal waste of a great casting choice because Jackie Earle Haley could have been an amazing Freddy Krueger.
But so I've a thing with that though. First, they were like, let's not reinvent Freddy. We're just gonna make him darker, but have him with the humor so it doesn't work. Two, they claim they tried to do everything practical they can. Bullshit. You see that fucking bed push out of the wall, which is the easiest effect to pull, and they did it with a worse CGI in film. Third, it's awful. But no, Jackie Earle Haley, so Jay from Red Letter Media was a stand-in for one day, and he claimed he watched that like film. I mean, he claimed he talked to Jackie Earle Haley, and Jackie Earle Haley went, "Oh, I watched Nightmare on Elm Street the other day, and it's the worst fucking movie I've ever seen."
What?
Like he took the role, but he wasn't on board. Like
Jared Leto and the Joker.
So, I just don't think anyone making Nightmare on Elm Street the remake had any heart in it. But also, just they went more heavy on the pedophile and just could have been creepy. You could have been creepy with that, but you could have just taken out the jokes and redid the character.
And we don't have to. I mean, I want to say it's kind of Rob Zombie's Halloween's fault that they went that direction.
It is. It's a Platinum Dunes movie. It's.
Why do you need all that in-depth inner like monologue into the guy's
Well, it's like
head
he was always a child killer, but they always kind of leaned away from the idea that he was a molester. It was always they just always called him a child killer. He was a child murderer. And it was implied that he's a molester because why would you like? I mean, it just like kind of makes sense if you kill children, you probably touch them too. Like
in the original script. It was in there, but there was a big, I think, molestation sort of scandal or whatnot going on around the time of filming. So they completely edited. You're
talking about in the original, or
in the original? In the original,
yeah.
So that's why it was just a child killer. It would have been a little different. And then I did watch. I didn't put this in a ranking.
I'm sorry, Joe. You just watched them all. So which one is the one where she has the relapse where she's running through the backyard, she goes into the basement, she finds all of the stuff, and she realizes she was the like legitimate daughter?
Oh, that's
yeah.
that's Final
that's
Night.
Freddy's dead.
That's
So I'm
Freddy's
saying
dead.
they don't have to explain it, but if you just do things like that without talking about it,
Yeah. I mean,
that's what you need if you're gonna remake it.
so I watched. So Freddy had a Tales of the Crypt type show called Freddy's Nightmares. I watched the pilot, which serves. It's directed by Tobe Hooper. It's very 80s. I actually wouldn't recommend it unless you're doing this whole like franchise watch. But it's called No More Mr. Nice Guys. It's
Does that have the
a
Fat Boys song in it?
No, because it's from like 1986 or something.
Oh, okay.
It's a backstory of Freddy, right? And it's just about the story of the murder of the like 20 plus children and him burning them. It's not very good, but it gives you that, and it still doesn't be like he diddled the kids, like
it leaves it open to where you don't have to fucking be like, hey, there's pictures, Polaroids. Hey, here's a shoebox of this. Like that's what the new one was like. What?
So I just want to leave some. We could open up to a more discussion, but my final thoughts and my favorite moment of the whole franchise.
Your essay?
I think my essay comes from
this thesis statement.
My thesis statement is my favorite moment of the whole franchise in New Nightmare is John Saxton into the middle of the film talking to Nancy as if he's still playing her father.
Well, they do that switch in the moment where they're talking and then he turns and then she's all of a sudden wearing his outfit from
he's in a police uniform. He gets in a cop car.
Yeah,
I love that moment. And
it's so good.
It weirdly is like the epitome of I think everything Wes was trying to do in that franchise, and it's creepy. Like, yeah, there's other things and there's kills, but that to me is like that's Nightmare on Elm Street. To its T. That's why New Nightmare is number one. New Nightmare is
he screamed it
is just as good as Scream, but it gets the credit of is just the credit of being Scream's leaping point.
Well, he took his own revolutionary idea and then made a new revolutionary idea off the back of it. It's so impressive. You can say he revitalized horror multiple times in his career. That's pretty impressive.
So one thing I do find really funny of New Nightmare, and I just want to get the words out of it, because that to me encapsulates the end of the film, like end of the franchise. Like, yeah, Freddy vs. Jason's just like a footnote. I feel like it's a lot of fun.
It's for fun. Yeah, it's for fun.
It's for fun. New Nightmare, it's the only thing I find funny is when they're in that, I spoke earlier of the talk show Real Life, and they made it in New Nightmare, is how it's a world of as if Freddy's Dead's the biggest movie ever, and they're like, is Freddy really dead? Is he coming back? Sure. And like Heather Langenkamp's working actress. People are calling her.
That's the most fantastical part.
Yeah.
Is he really?
Like that, I just always chuckle at. Like it's just like a larger than life. Like Freddy's like number one, and there's rolling through with it.
Can I ask you something, Joe? Since you rewatched this,
yeah.
The last scene where the girl gets pulled through the door window 5x5-inch things. That's the last scene of a film.
That's the first one.
The first one. Yeah.
And I can tell you why that happened. The
girl gets like glove thrown through the school bus thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
The glove. Freddy has some of the best like last second kills of a film.
Yeah, those like last getcha moments. Yeah. Like
that number one, Wes didn't want to do that. He wanted to end it how it ended, where Freddy's gone. There was supposed to be no sequel. Through the door of that dummy, which is rather humorous.
Yeah,
I do find it's one of the weaker points. Is
the effect is funny, but it's a cool moment. It's still a cool.
It's a cool moment.
If you can't divorce, I hate that about young movie watchers, and I know I'm going to sound like a crabby old man, but like if you can't divorce yourself from like the fact that effects have evolved, like if you like, I've had people sit down and watch the Thing and then be like the practical effects in the Thing look fake. I'm like, go fuck yourself, man. Like,
no, that's not what I'm talking about.
Unreal. Like, if you can't appreciate appreciate like what they were doing. You have to take a movie into context. You know what I mean? Like
Wes, so to speak fully on that door, Wes does not like that, or from what you know, is Bob Shea, the producer, wanted to have a more punch at the end to get people.
What, the principal from Freddy vs. Jason?
The principal from Freddy vs. Jason, him as a producer, the guy,
him as
the
himself
bartender,
in New Nightmare,
the guy in the gay bar, in Nightmare 2. That's Bob Shea also. He's a producer. He wanted more punch, and the other ending would have been they did 2. One, Freddy's driving the car there, or the top goes up on the convertible, and it has like the Freddy stripes on it, and they drive away. That was what Wes wanted, but they went the arm pull. If you want to learn all of this stuff and like know full on, do yourself a favor. It's a little long. Put it in 2 parts. There's a documentary called Never Sleep Again, and it goes through every single Nightmare on Elm Street and their background. And
also, Joe ripped off this documentary then.
I did. I took Rennie Harlin's lines and I spent them myself.
Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about Rennie Harlin. Directed Nightmare 4. Directed Die Hard with Die Harder. Directed Long Kiss Goodnight, Deep Blue Sea.
Talking about
action icon Rennie Harlin.
Yeah. I think it was that, or it was one of the Freddys. And you mentioned the Frighteners early. They wanted Peter Jackson to do a Nightmare.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
And he wrote a script. I think it might have been Dreamchild, and he liked it, and he turned it into the Frighteners.
Ooh.
So anyway, I believe that's how it goes. I might be wrong.
I would have liked to have seen a Peter Jackson Nightmare, but I love the Frighteners. So no.
Hey, remake. I would like if this ever gets redone, just give me a different Freddy. Use the concept. Give a different Freddy. Don't try to
like have him be totally different. No fedora, no sweater. Just be a totally different type character.
I'm sorry, I've been going.
I think they should reboot. I mean, honestly, with the successful, we're gonna get into how successful the new Halloween has been. But with that, I could see them just rebooting with Robert Englund at this point.
There's talks now. I mean, he was just on the Goldbergs reprising.
Right, he just reprises on the Goldbergs.
He seemed to have a taste of it.
Yeah. Cool.
But I like Robert Englund's actually take he had on like if we were to do a Freddy. He was like, well, Freddy's someone's imagination. It could be anyone. Why don't you just have multiple people be Freddy and different kills?
It's a cool idea. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing it. I don't know how well received it would be overall, but I wouldn't mind seeing it.
It wouldn't. It's not going to be like Halloween in the sense of you're not going to have someone do it well. I really don't think.
Well,
but that remake is fucking terrible. But you know what else is terrible? When the Dead Rises.
Oh man, that segue! I don't even have to get out the gauntlet now because Joe just segued the shit out of us.
Is it though?
Listen, bitch, I talked for way too long, and I know I love my own voice. But 1, 2, 3, TJ's coming for you.
I was gonna segue in the practical effects, but I couldn't sneak in.
You couldn't sneak. No, go ahead, Yusef. Tell us what you think.
I'm sorry.
No. I was gonna say when you were guys talking about practical effects, I was gonna segue to TJ about practical effects, but I just couldn't get in.
Okay.
Oh my god.
You got burned, and then Joe stole your segue.
I'm sorry. I spent like the last 2 weeks like indulging myself in Freddy Krueger and Nightmare on Elm Street.
That's why I was like, that was why I was rushing through mine because you guys have a lot to talk about.
I know movies. I like TJ's pick too because this is probably the franchise that overall I'm the least familiar with. So I was excited with The Living Dead to have TJ bring us a little knowledge.
I'm not going to do any of that. So don't put any of that pressure on me, big boy. So Thanos. When it comes to this, George A. Romero is the champion of horror. Wes Craven, as it comes on our rankings, from Joe to Yusef, he's leading it all from Scream to Nightmare on Elm Street. So I'm going George A. Romero, Nightmare on Elm Street. So I'm going to do something a little different with you guys. I'm going to give you my rankings, and I just want to let you guys quick bang, bang, bang on these rankings. So number 6 on George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead. So we're not going to
Yeah,
get
6 total.
6 total, but this isn't my watch list.
You're talking about specifically the Romero Living Dead movies.
So this is going to be real quick.
You're not going to rank the remake, which I think is probably Zack Snyder's best movie?
Just wait. No, just
All
wait.
right.
That's something different. So this is my quick Living Dead rankings of George A. Romero. Has anybody ever seen number 6, Survival of the Dead?
No.
Go. So that's number 6. So we have nothing to say on that. Number 5, Land of the Dead, that actually was released in 2004.
I did see
have
this.
seen that.
Yes.
So does anyone have any thoughts on this one other than the guy who licks the Winchester and gets this flare of the light and shoots zombies in the head?
I thought that big fat bald zombie with the gun walking out of the swamp was a cool scene. That's all I remember.
I mean, like the idea of zombies like holding enough memory to use a gun is an interesting thing to kind of do, I guess.
That is
I thought
the social commentary on that one being like super heavy-handed, though.
Yeah.
The whole
I
like
thought
we live in a building and everybody else lives below, and it's like.
I always thought George Romero made Land of the Dead because Dawn of the Dead, the remake to his movie, was successful because the zombies felt so similar.
Yeah,
yes,
that's
but
about
this
right.
one they were more walking. They did the whole like flower blossom thing with the fireworks, where the zombies got like entranced with the thing. They had Argento's wife in it. She was the star of it, who was also in I can't think of the other video game movie that she was in. But they had like this weird
Doom?
Yes. Well, she had like this. They had this weird like combination of TV actors with video game film actors with an awful script of this, just like the zombies went underwater to walk.
Oh, it's got John Leguizamo in it, though.
Oh yeah, and Dustin Hopper too. So
Dennis Hopper, yeah, absolutely.
So 5.
Fun fact. John Leguizamo is not Puerto Rican, despite he says he is.
Wait, really?
Well, then what is
Wait,
his nationality there, buddy? You calling him out?
I think it's Colombian.
Oh,
really?
Well,
yes.
How do you guys feel about Diary of the Dead? That POV.
I
never saw it.
I've seen it. It's I saw it when it came out once, so it's been years. I thought at the time it was like a clever idea, but it didn't fully get it.
No, it's exactly what it was. George A. Romero kind of peaked at what we're about to get to right now. So Day of the Dead, guys. This is a great film. This is my number 3 of his films, of 6. So then 6, 5, 4, 3 is Day of the Dead. This is where you get into the meat of his great stuff. So Day of the Dead. Anyone think about this? Bub, the whole 9.
Again, I'm not very familiar, unfortunately. This is my least familiar franchise.
Wait, I'm more familiar than I thought I was with these movies.
Nice.
Day of the Dead is fucking awesome. When they go to that radio station,
that's the one where they're in the bunker, right? And they're like kind of because they kind of reference it in the 3rd Resident Evil movie, right? Where they're underground.
But I remember like bits and scenes of these movies, except for a few of them. Them getting to the bunker and whatnot, they have to get into this radio station, and it's such an intense scene.
It's one of these things where, as I'm gonna get into like George Romero's, it's super morose, it's super sad. It's dour. There's not a lot of happy scenes. In Day of the Dead, they have the great scene where the protagonist, the female of the film, I can't remember her name, the only female of the film who's surrounded by a bunch of assholes. Who goes to this like 3 trailers that are have these great like paradise scenes painted on the walls around them, because it's not really paradise, sitting in a bunker. And the guy just tells her like, this is what it is. Like, she's like, you haven't helped us at all. It's like, well, we're not going to help you because we don't get paid to help you. We don't pay to do anything because the world's basically done. Like, that's Day of the Dead. Like, all these films that I picked that I'm watching over Halloween, as I've realized, are super dour and sad. Yep. So if you guys don't know too much of Day of the Dead,
I don't like your SAT.
No, it's one of those things where it's like, well, as I watch these, I'm like, man, I wasn't watching Halloween, so that's why with this rankings, I have a watch list. So I'm going to go like straight child's play on you guys once we get out of this. So 2, Dawn of the Dead. The original, 78. How do you guys feel about that? That's my favorite horror film of all
It's
time.
a great movie.
It's a classic for sure. I've definitely I need to rewatch it, but you can't kind of get a hold of it very easily.
It's free on, but you know, you can find it.
Yeah.
I love that the dad from Kenan and Kel is in it.
So deep pool.
Of course. Whoa. Great pool.
I just remember when I found it because he's in the remake also as one of the news anchors.
Yeah. Once the Dead Rise, yeah.
First of all, I love that remake. That remake is phenomenal.
No, not the remake.
One of the better. No, I know. I'm just saying.
Everybody wants to talk about the remake, TJ.
Well, we're gonna get to it. So, number 1, we're gonna get to the heart of it all. Night of the Living Dead. George A. Romero got his name from this film.
The original is my jam. That's one that I'm very familiar with.
Yeah, but have you seen Monkey Shines?
I have not.
Oh, it's weird.
And then it's weird they remade it in a black and white version, right? In the late 80s or early 90s?
It's 1990, and we're going to get into that. So, like, Night of the Living Dead, you have Dwayne Jones, a star. Well, at the time, everyone thought it was like a social commentary for race, but George A. Romero promises today that that wasn't the fact at all, that Dwayne Jones was like the perfect guy for the role at the time. And the end scene just kind of worked in well with what they were going for. Argue that as much as you want. Now,
well, I feel like it's one of those things where, like, whether he meant to or not, it still counts. Like, it still was a big deal.
I mean, even if it's not a metaphor or he wasn't going for that social commentary, it's very powerful to see a black man be the one that survives.
Yeah, and
it's better.
And I
survive-ish.
Feel like if it goes like Night of the Living Dead, it was the thing before Walking Dead, that awful TV show that's on now, where it's not the zombies that scare you, it's the people that you're involved in the situation with. So you got the Coopers, who are these disgusting, degenerate fucks who basically, the dad is this drunk guy who, not to his fault, is worried about his daughter and his wife, but obviously has no respect for Dwayne Jones' character because of the color of her skin, the whole nine. So you get that in your head to where you get the social commentary of it. But so now what I was saying with you guys, you get the dour sadness of this series. So I'm giving you a watch list now. You can watch the original 3. Then you get into the 1990s remake by Tom Savini, who was zombie creator for the original George A. Romero series, but he gives them more of a gory Walking Dead, Greg Nicotero feel to it. Then with that, let's get goofy. Let's get Child's Play. Let's get Bride of Chucky, and let's get See Chucky with it. Has anyone seen Return of the Living Dead 2 or Return of the Living Dead 3?
I haven't seen any of the Return of the Living Dead.
That's when you get, like, in Return of the Living Dead 2, you get a group of teenagers in a cemetery having sex while a barrel of military gas falls over in a graveyard and makes zombies. It's goofy. It's fucking shitty as hell. It's so bad. And Return of the Living Dead 3 is a love story between a male and a female who end up being TV stars later in the past. But then also after that, once you get goofy with it, watch Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead remake. This is what I've been building up to. Joe wants
everybody's been itching to talk about it.
Yeah,
everybody keeps interrupting me.
This is the
only
remake
this
guy has done in my argument that is good. And
it's
go ahead.
So good.
Anybody wants to say whatever they want to do, go ahead now. And just
you can shit on remakes, but you can't shit on that Dawn of the Dead one. It's good. It's a solid effort.
I love that opening. The whole thing, from the Johnny Cash song.
That opening's so good they stole it for Dawn of the Dead. They totally jacked that opening.
The fucking ambulance that just takes out that guy.
It's so good.
That's how you know you're gonna be in a movie where you're like, oh, this is gonna be fun.
The droid scene with Sarah Paulson driving through the city, and like you see the chaos going around behind her, but she just keeps driving in a straight line, and then eventually everything about that leads up to the mall kind of puts the 78 Dawn of the Dead as great as it is, it's somewhat of a weird perspective because you're like, man, this is what you can do with a horror remake without overdoing it. You do your own
what
aspect
that movie does, which is really fun, is they say, "Oh, they're having a great time in this mall."
Yeah,
but then they do show you know what, reality is setting in,
and that's the one thing about it. Like as dour as it is, in these weird shots, and even in Tom Savini's thing, when they remake it, they take a minute and have that moment of pure happiness, to where they find the sunlight coming in the light. I'm sorry, in the window in 1990s, and then even in this one, they have that cutscene with that band. I'm sorry, Brian, you know who they are, playing the sickness movie song real slow.
Yeah, they doing the cover. I can't remember the guy who does them, but he does those lounge versions of rock songs. They do Down with the Sickness.
And they're all just going through the mall and stealing stuff. And even Dawn of the Dead, the 78 version, they have a moment of that where they're going through and stealing things that they would actually want to have, but then it gets back to the craziness of actually being in that moment. And then you have the dude in Dawn of the Dead, the remake, which is awesome, is the Ving Rhames relationship with the guy across the street in the gun shop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's an excellent
part.
Sucks.
That's a great relationship. Super sad. The chick with the dog. And one of those things, George A. Romero is Night of the Living Dead. As much as I want to choose Child's Play and stuff like that, when it comes to Halloween, zombies for me is probably the number one thing that scares me. So that's the thing that I went with when I go to rankings and franchises.
What sucks about the one thing that sucks with the remake is if you do watch it, don't watch the unrated version, because there's a couple extra scenes in it where they try to do this shitty CGI demon zombie baby. And
I love the zombie baby.
No, it's there's several minutes extra of the zombie baby, and it's unrated cut, which ruins it, and that's one of the ones you get.
Really?
I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm just saying that. It might be killing airtime.
No, you're fine with that. I saw that in theaters twice, and
I saw it in theaters too when I was, I guess, 12, 13. I loved it.
But I mean, that's what I gotta say about George A. Romero's
No, man, I think you picked such an out of the box franchise.
I agree.
No, like I said, I'm just there's some really classics in there, but there's also a lot that I'm not familiar with.
Yeah.
I just recently got the Criterion of Night of the Living Dead, and that's such a good movie, and it totally holds up. It's incredible. I love original Night of the Living Dead.
Right.
Yeah, I think that remake's really good too.
It's Halloween. Keeps rubbing in our faces that he has the money.
Yeah.
Baby, Halloween. Criterion. Pew, 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 pew.
Can I? No, I won't.
No, you won't, because we're getting into Halloween right now.
We're getting into Halloween.
Oh, I gotta put my gauntlet back on.
There it is.
'Tis the season.
Oh, I gotta tweak my nip with it. Oh, I got that nip tweak.
While he tweaks his nips, I love that one scene in Freddy where he scratches the chalkboard.
I will say I'm a little disappointed. Not one of you called out my Wolverine claws and my Wolverine helmet.
They bought him.
Mask.
They bought him.
I was watching you, but
I wanted you to call it out, because I had a great joke about how I wanted to kill Wolverine with the snap, but Fox got to him first, and I wanted to make that joke, and none of you gave me the opening. So fuck you guys. I'm quitting the show now.
There's this thing where in Google Hangouts where you put this note in, you can send it to us and be like, hey, TJ, put this out there.
I can't reach my computer. It's way away from me because the camera's set up, and I wanted to make sure I could see, I was looking into the camera. So I can't type you a message, all right? Check Twitter. I sent, that's where I try to. All right. Anyway, yes. My pick. It's back to me, finally. My show, my fucking episode. And my pick, because I'm a basic ass bitch, was Halloween.
Nice.
Oh, man. Wait, real quick, before I get into Halloween, Joe, there's one thing I forgot to mention. We were talking about Nightmare, and it's in Dream Warriors. I love the girl who's the junkie when she goes, I'm beautiful and bad. And she's got the two little knives.
As TJ was talking, I was even thinking of, in one of the worst ones, one of my favorites is him fucking with that kid who's deaf and using the chalkboard
Oh,
until
with
he
the
fucking
weird
dies.
like cochlear implant that like drills into his head.
like I'm sorry. It might have to be a whole hour episode. I love that scene with the fucking drug addict, and the little mouths are going on her
little like
marks.
scars her mouths, and they're all like,
yeah. So welcome to the Freddy podcast, where we just
see, I will stop we had a good segue and good momentum. I will stop it dead to go back to talk about something that was 2 fucking segments ago. I don't give a shit.
Hey, Brian, why the fuck do you have a Wolverine thing on your back?
Yeah,
Brian,
but you know why?
where'd you get those
I'm
claws
Thanos,
from?
and I was gonna snap him out of existence, but Fox beat me to it. Damn. Fucking Eric LaSalle got to him first.
So tell us about Halloween just in more of a sense that is not just Yusuf lecturing us for.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna save my rankings towards the end, so I'm gonna talk a little bit about the movies. The way, really, what I want to talk about.
I essayed.
What I was going to talk about was, like, I watched this, the way I broke this up, I thought it was kind of interesting the way I broke up my watch of these movies. You know, there's a lot of movies in the Halloween franchise. So I started out with what I consider to be the real trilogy. So I watched Halloween, Halloween 2, and Halloween H2O. That's my, like, legit trilogy for me. The classic, obviously, Halloween. They say, you know, there's always some dispute. Was it the first slasher? There's some that came before, but it's the first real, like, important slasher that was definitive and that kind of set the tone. And so we still consider it, despite what may have came before it. It still holds up as far as I'm concerned. I do see where, like, a younger audience would come at it and be like, it's slow.
No, they're wrong.
But I know, I'm not saying they're right, but I get
they're
it.
Wrong.
I try not to get into that opinion-based shit, because you can't make somebody's terrible fucking opinions better. You know, all you're gonna do is argue into a corner with them. They're just gonna double down. It's not worth it. So,
shut up.
It's a good slow burn.
I love the original is amazing. Donald Pleasance is my fucking spirit animal. He is through this, and goddamn, man, he hangs in this franchise. He is in 2, 4, 5, and 6. He literally had to die, and then he's in Halloween H2O in his own way too. He's like the like catalyst that makes the movie kick off. So as far as I'm concerned, Donald Pleasance is fucking amazing, and he's so good. Special shout out to the scene where he scares the kids away from the house. He's like, "Hey, get your ass away from there!" You know, I love that fucking moment's my favorite.
And you also get the best exploitation scene where he's like, "Evil is in your town, Chef." Right after that, where the guy's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "This is Michael Myers' house." You're like, "Wait a minute, you."
All the stuff with him and Sheriff Brackett in the house where they find the dog.
Oh yeah,
and he's like, he got hungry. And then when he pulls the gun and he's like, "Oh, I have a permit for it." I just love it.
How they like fucking like the time frame doesn't make sense. How they're probably together like 10 hours out of that day.
Right.
Him and that sheriff, like the way it's going down.
Well, also, there's a thing, you want to talk about weird continuity shit. So it's like you see him stalking Lori and her friends, and you see him in the mask, and then they go and they see the sheriff, and he's at that, like, how long was that alarm going off at that store? It was like going off for like 4 hours. He's like, "Oh, we just got here. You know, I was having lunch." Whatever.
Also, it becomes a continuation. You know, Dr. Loomis, he's a doctor, and he let off his firearm how many times?
Don't judge. The Second Amendment allows him to do that.
That's right. Dr. Loomis is standing his ground, okay? Yeah. He's a fucking American, all right?
Listen, Frozone, appropriating culture, Frozone. Don't bring your liberal bullshit to me.
I'm not gonna like waste too much time talking about Halloween. I
made a
joke. I made a joke on my Twitter about how like, oh gee, I wish people would do a fucking podcast about the original Halloween, because every Halloween, every pod, like for fun, I don't understand how there's still podcasts left that haven't done Halloween already.
I want
Like,
to
how am I
say one.
still getting podcasts talking about Halloween? Everybody's
Can I
seen
say
it.
one
Everybody's
thing?
talked it to fucking death.
How is Halloween not in the AFI 100?
It's blasphemy, honestly. If
That's
it's not,
bullshit.
that's ridiculous.
Like I'll take like not of maybe personal favorites or whatnot, but for AFI, I'll take Halloween over The Thing and John Carpenter.
Disagree.
Like
that's a hard one for me. I actually think I put
in that
Thing
list.
over. I think
I will
put
take
over
The Thing over
personally, but I could see where you could get there.
Joe,
Anyway.
next episode, make an essay as to why The Thing should be over.
No, we're done with essays, Yusef. No
Damn
one
it.
else is doing that.
But
We'll talk a little bit about Halloween 2, first part of my first trilogy.
Yeah.
I love when the sequel picks directly up after the original. That's like a thing that it always gets me. I really enjoy that. I think this is a fairly solid. This is what introduced a couple things that kind of became iconic. The idea of her being the sister, which they just tried to erase, that came from the sequel, which I think is a good. I know people hate. I don't know why people hate on that. That's a solid addition. It's like what a sequel should do.
Yes, it explains why he became obsessed with her.
Yeah,
because
rather than just seeing her out of a door, like that's the explanation in the first one. He saw her at one time,
but it also kind of ties into like he's seeing like his older sister. Obviously, it's his young sister, but it's his old sister once again alive. So he's like I want to kill her again.
Exactly. He sees Judith again in her own way.
Yeah.
I also think this works as a fairly solid bottle movie, all being wrapped up in the hospital. So like anytime you're like closed in an enclosed space with a killer like that, that's a scary idea. That's a fun, and I think they work pretty well with that.
Can you explain to me what, because my favorite, like one of the things I find scary about Halloween 2 or memorable, why it's so scary is that kid that comes in with a busted
where he bites on the razor blade. That's so nasty, right?
Like it's why is that the thing that stands out?
That's some classic scaremongering shit. You know that almost all, like I would say 99% of stories you hear about kids who get poisoned on Halloween is almost always either they ate something from their own house or their actual parent tried to poison them.
Here's a question that doesn't have Yusef involved because he hates this movie. Do you put Halloween 2 on the same level as Jaws 2 because of the first one having the significance as it was as being a horror thriller?
I think Halloween 2 is better, but I like Jaws 2.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with
It's like one of those things where it gets unharshly ridiculed because
it's a good continuation. It's got Roy Scheider back. It's like it's a little more slashery with a shark, but I like it. I think overall maybe Halloween 2 is probably better, but I like Jaws 2.
More kills in Halloween 2. It's a little bit it's obviously more gory.
It like much like we talked about with Scream, it does set those sequel rules where it's bloodier, you learn more about the killer. Yeah. It literally seems like Randy only is talking about the Halloween franchise. And then H2O, 20 years later, this is a great fucking movie. Now here's the thing, and we're going to talk a little bit about the remake later. That's going to be our movie for this week.
Wait. Quick question. Can I talk now? Can I talk again, TJ?
Shut up.
I was like, okay, go ahead.
Zip it. Quit interrupting me to ask you can talk. As much as like people are enjoying the remake or the new reboot, well, whatever, that's fine. But H2O, the only thing holding H2O back is that kind of post-Scream 90s aesthetic. Now, it was legit written by Kevin Williamson, so you got to give it that. It's got a great continuation. It's a great PTSD Laurie Strode. I love her portrayal of a functional alcoholic. That moment where her boyfriend, we're there at lunch and her boyfriend goes up to go to the bathroom and she orders another wine. And while the guy's getting it, she chugs that glass of wine and has him switch out the glasses so that while he's gone, she doesn't realize that he doesn't realize that she's drank a whole extra glass of wine. that is something that I witnessed as a server and bartender so many times with functional alcoholics like who are lying to their own spouses and stuff. I loved it. It was such a great portrayal. Introduces to Josh Hartnett, although it's not as iconic for me as his role in The Faculty. When he pulls,
can I
in The Faculty, when he pulls that paper cutter up, that's my most iconic Josh Hartnett.
Can I interrupt though? What you just said about Laurie's being an alcoholic is so badly portrayed in the new one, where it's like, "Mom, Mom, can you stop drinking, Mom?" And she's like chugging, standing.
It's like they try to do that same moment, but it's we'll talk about the remake.
I want to yell
because I can't wait.
Go ahead.
We're getting there. Hey, I got my. Let me do my shit. You all got your time. It's my time now.
Go ahead with your essay.
What time is it, guys?
So that was my original. That's my core trilogy. For me, that is Halloween. Halloween 2, and H2O. That's a core trilogy. My second trilogy, and I watched these ones in order. I watched Halloween 4, Return of Michael Myers, Halloween 5, and then Halloween 6. Now, I own Halloween 6 and I own the producer's cut. I chose producer's cut this time, but I'm familiar enough that I feel confident in talking about all of them.
That's the Curse of Michael Myers, right?
Right. The Halloween 6 is the Curse of Michael Myers, and then they do there's a producer's cut that leans more heavily into the witch and the Cult of Thorn stuff.
Do any of you bitches have do any of you guys have cable?
It's so good, it makes me uncomfortable.
Okay, so does AMC still play basically just like Curse of Michael Myers and Halloween 4?
They just started
on repeat during Halloween.
Nah, they've got more movies now. They finally
because that's the only way I've seen those later ones is they were just the ones on AMC's Fright Fest. Bitch.
No, listen. For Halloween, I think Halloween 4 gets a lot of love because people hated Halloween 3 and they wanted more Michael Myers.
I love Halloween 3.
Oh yeah, we'll and when we get to rankings, we can talk about it. I'm going to get there, but Halloween 4 is
favorite.
Fine. It's a real basic slasher, though. It's not there's not a lot going on in it. The best thing that Halloween 4 has going on is the ending where you think Jamie Lloyd is going to become the new Michael Myers. And then they fuck that up in the 5th one. They don't do anything with it. And they introduce maybe the most annoying character in all of horror, that best friend who is the main character of 5. She's fucking awful.
She was in 4 minimally.
Well, the girl in 4 is the stepsister. They kill her in 5, and then she has a friend who kind of takes over the role of the main girl, and she is literally maybe the most annoying thing I have ever seen filmed. It's
that barn killing scene with the cop who's in a lot of films. Hey, you!
And then it's in 4, they also have that off-camera scene where he kills all the police in the town.
Yeah.
And then so in 5, then you have the militia. I do like the idea of the local militia where they're trying to blow away and they end up killing an innocent person, harkening back to the Ben Tramer death of 2, which I love. Nice. I always like that Ben Tramer got a nod in the sequel because he gets a shout out. I'm a big Ben Tramer head. And then leading into part 6, this is our Paul Rudd. We all get our introduction to Paul Rudd with part 6. I like that Sam Loomis was still hanging around. Dr. Loomis had an amazing. They rip off his great scene from 4 in the gas station. They rip that off for the new one, and then he's great all up through. He tries to murder a little girl. He's got so many great moments, and then he gets to reunite with Paul Rudd, so we can actually say there's a movie with Paul Rudd and Donald Pleasance together. That's something we get to enjoy in our lives.
Michael,
can I ask you a question?
Sure, of course.
You already did.
I've asked a lot of questions. What do you feel? I haven't watched in a while. Do you feel John Carpenter's presence missing from the franchise?
Oh, yeah, I would say definitely you do, for sure. Absolutely. But again, when you look at John Carpenter's total filmography, I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing that he went away.
Hey, Ghosts of Mars is bad.
Well, that's a fine
Escape
segue because
from
then
LA.
after I watched 4, 5, and 6, that was my second trilogy. I watched 4, 5, and 6. I went next to Halloween 3. And I feel like Season of the Witch, I feel like I grew up hearing how terrible it was. It's a like middle of the road John Carpenter movie. If it was just not called Halloween 3 and called John Carpenter's Season of the Witch, you would watch it and be like, yeah, that's somewhere between They Live in the Fog. You know, that's fine. And then for me, the Fog is lower. They Live is up here. The Fog is
really. So it has Halloween 3. Like I say, fan favorite, Flyover State of Film favorite, Tom Atkins. It has the best ending.
Weirdest part of that movie is his relationship with that girl, right?
Where he just straight up fucks her?
Well, and like she's like her dad just died, and she's all vulnerable, and he's just like, "Yeah, let's bang, and I'll suck your titty."
She's hanging out for him. Whatever. He's going out to the liquor store to buy 40s because he's a full blown alcoholic.
An alcoholic doctor, also harkening back to part 2, drunk doctor.
Yeah. Yep. And she's just waiting in that hotel room to get stone cold bone zoned, and he has no idea.
I'll tell you what, one thing I really liked on rewatching it is the way she's kind of like, I don't mind her as a character, as an actress, but she's kind of a chatty Cathy. You know, she's always like got something to say, and she's like doing a lot of talking and pushing Tom Atkins. And then like when he saves her, she never says a word until she's revealed to be an android. So I really tuned in on that in this one. Like I was like, okay, she really like did an acting thing there. Good for her.
Yeah. I don't know. That movie's funny, but it does, I think, have a fucking awesome ending where it's like, this thing.
Yeah, I love the cliffhanger ending, and I just like the weirdness of it, you know. And it kind of like it's weird because it's so off kilter, but then the way the series goes after that with the 4, 5, and 6, and you do get into the Druids and the Cult of Thorn, it almost ties back in its own way.
Was Halloween a movie then?
In Halloween 3, Halloween is the movie. Yeah,
I know, but then if it ties in later in the franchise, how are the Druids and those things still?
No, because it's an
Elseworld. I can't explain it.
They ignored the 3, but I kind of wish that the 3 was actually successful, because I'm curious as to what else they had in mind in terms of their anthology series.
What would have been their next weird idea? I'm into that too.
Yeah.
Aliens.
Would have fucking ruled. I love anthology.
The idea of a anthology series about every year, but is always something different. Where it's at now. I feel like it's in mainstream enough, and it's kind of a series could do that.
Yep.
Well, VHS, I think, tried redoing that.
But it failed because it had a lot of, even though each movie has a good segment, there's a lot of shit in it.
Yeah. I don't know if we could release films that like now with it's like one like you. Brian, we can't hear you. We're losing Brian at the moment.
That's fine.
Am I back? Am I back? Okay.
You're back.
All right, and then the last one, I rounded out my franchise watch with Rob Zombie's Halloween. I mean, I was gonna.
For those that didn't hear Brian, he's talking about Rob.
Oh my God! Am I gonna lose Brian in his episode?
We're losing Brian. He's talking about Rob Zombie's Halloween.
Am I out? Are you losing? No,
you sound like one of those androids in Halloween 3.
What can I do to fix this?
No, you're good. You're back.
Rob Zombie's Halloween.
All right, Rob Zombie's Halloween. I used to kind of be a defender of this movie. Basically, the way I look at it now when I rewatched it is like the worst part for me isn't that they gave him a backstory. Like that I don't care about. That's just a different take. That's like, hey, here's another idea of what maybe was going on with Michael, whatever. My problem with it is the stupid, weird Rob Zombie white trash garbage, overly sexualized. Like we gotta have a rape in here, and we gotta have too much like dirt bag white trash shit. And then the ending is way like all the shit with her, with them going back to the Myers house and him like chasing her and bashing in her. She's hiding in the walls. Then he's smashing the walls. She's hiding in the ceiling. Then he's smashing the ceiling. It goes on and on and on. And it doesn't add anything for me. I like it in the idea of it's kind of just a standalone remake of kind of it's not a remake of 2, except that it takes in the sister thing. But it's just kind of standalone. If you just like have her at the very end, shoot him in the face, and he dies, and that's the end of the movie, I'm kind of fine with it there.
Like, I love the ending. I love the ending with her screaming though. That ending is great.
I like that ending.
Well, it's like Texas Chainsaw.
And she's gonna be fucked up from that. I like that. So there's stuff about it that I like as a remake. It's just a standalone thing, but really it's just that I don't think Rob Zombie's aesthetic fit the movie very well. I like House of a Thousand Corpses. I like Devil's Rejects. This needed to be something different, and it was just too, just like nasty.
Two is one of the weirdest fucking movies of all time.
So I'm gonna cut in right here, guys. Hey, my name's TJ, and this movie is garbage.
Oh my god!
You do not need 45 minutes of Michael Myers growing up in a very troubled house with a stripper.
You grow up, TJ.
That little kid from Hancock was not good.
It's like the same thing with the RoboCop remake.
You do know that kid's not allowed to act anymore because of this film.
Wait, what?
This kid is not allowed to act anymore because of this film. You do know that, right?
That's fine.
Go on. Tell me why.
Halloween 2. He was in the Amityville remake, right?
No. He wasn't, because he was stripped out of Halloween 2 because his parents were like, this movie will fuck you up like Linda Blair did. Rob Zombie has no realistic ability of pulling a human person between a film. This guy literally probably put this kid into a stripper situation, an awful situation, probably made this kid feel like he could be a serial killer in real life. That's what Rob Zombie does.
That's fine. So
I think you're giving Rob Zombie too much credit there. Listen, if he was like, "Hey, little kid, just watch my wife, Saline Moon Zombie, strip," I'd be like, "All right, cool."
Zombie's way too thin. She needs to put on maybe like 5 pounds. She looks sickly. I thought she was dying.
I actually liked. I liked with Lords of Salem.
I like Lords of Salem, and like I said, I already stood up for a house.
You don't need to push Rob Zombie's other works into this work, because other than this work, it did not need to go. You don't need to have Michael in a hospital for 15 years, let alone 25 minutes of a film, and have Danny Trejo go, "Little Mikey, don't kill me," and little Mikey.
That was the best part.
That was good.
It was effective.
I like the Danny Trejo death. What I don't like is the only copy I have the stupid unrated cut. When I saw it in the theater, when Michael breaks out, he just kills a couple of cars, he goes on a killing spree. When he breaks out in Halloween in the unrated cut, there's like they bring a girl into his room and to rape her, which is already fucked up. I'm just not into seeing rapes on film. I get why I feel like they're overused because it's a cheap way to get really gritty emotion out of people. Like everybody reacts to a rape, so it's like a cheap way to
it goes back to Wes Craven with Last House on the Left.
I'm talking about shitty movies.
No, but I'm saying though, like it's a trope from that film, just to tie things back to.
But my thing is, like, also that scene on watching it this time, it breaks the character of Michael Myers because
that's a very human thing to do.
Right, you want to think that he just goes off because it's Halloween and he's ready to go back after his other sister and whatever, and it's just random because that's the way Michael Myers is supposed to be. He's just supposed to be a force of nature who stabs and moves forward. But this gives him like a purpose that he like woke up because you were being cruel to this girl, and then that brought him up. But then he saves that girl, but then he goes on to kill like all the guards and his buddy Dave.
With 35 masks along his fucking mirror.
Works.
Ireland across this shit.
Damn
it. Get to the new one.
Yeah, get to the new one.
But is the new one better?
I got to do my rankings. Hold on. All right, so I'm ready to rank the Halloween franchise here. Coming in at the very bottom are the two that I didn't even bother to watch, and that's Halloween Resurrection and Halloween Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Fuck those movies. They are both garbage, even beyond. I know TJ has strong feelings about Rob Zombie's, but his Halloween 2 is just atrocious.
Awful.
Don't even talk
One
about
of the worst movies I've watched.
All right. So then now coming in at I'm gonna work so that leaves me with 10 entries. So I'm coming in, I'm gonna work bottom to top. Coming in at number 10, the worst, Halloween 5. I think I already talked about it a little bit. It has that really annoying character. They waste the great twist at the end of 4. They fuck that up. So fuck that movie. That movie sucks ass.
This is an awesome essay.
Thank you. Then coming in at number 9 is Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, the theatrical cut. Again, it's just they one of those reshoot deals where they tried to remake the whole movie and and add more like weird violence. The one thing they did add that I like is when he kills Jamie Lloyd, when he like puts her on this weird guarding machine and she reaches out to him and he looks like he's gonna reach out to her and then he just turns the machine on and she gets all fucked up and like gutted. That was cool. I'll give him that. That was awesome.
He thinks she's pregnant, so he thinks he's gonna cut up the kid,
but the kid's already out.
So yep. Maybe.
But in the producer's cut, which I'm going to get to, you find out that's Michael's baby in there. That's a Michael Myers baby. Fucking weird, man.
How did Michael have sex?
Hey, don't ask no questions. All right, so coming in at number 8 then is Halloween 4. Like I said, I think this one gets a lot of love because people really hated 3, but when you revisit it and you don't hate 3, you realize it's just a real it's kind of like Halloween 2018. They kind of just remade Halloween and, they put Michael Myers back in it. They brought back Loomis. He's supposed to have burned to death or blown up, but he's just got like a little scar on his hand, a little scar on his face. It just, he's not bringing it in.
Like a Band-Aid from Nelly.
Don't you ever talk about Nelly.
Oh, the man.
All right, now after that one, coming in at number 7. Coming in at number 7, came out in 2007, Rob Zombie's Halloween. Although I think it's better than a lot of these sequels, again, revisiting it, I used to be a pretty strident defender of this movie, and I think it was because I like some of Rob Zombie's other movies, and I like that he had the first one just taken on its own as a complete singled out thing that just exists by itself. I kind of like that. It tells one story. It has a beginning and an ending. I didn't get hung up on the Michael Myers kid angle because to me, it's just another idea. It's just like, hey, here's a thought. Maybe this is it. It doesn't replace what already exists, so I was fine. But again, I actually was kind of watching it like, it's just, gross. I don't like how overly sexualized it is. I don't like that I see little Jamie Lloyd from 4 or 5. I don't like that she's topless for she gets murdered and then I gotta see Chucky come in and be like, Annie, and use his Chucky voice that he sounds like he's saying Andy, but he's saying Annie. It's fucked up. It fucks with my mind, man. Sorry.
Now
we're getting into some good ones now. Coming in at number 6, above Rob Zombie's Halloween, is the producer's cut of Halloween 6. I actually think they made some improvements.
You motherfucker.
You can't do that.
Why not? They're two separate
No,
movies.
he can do that. I did Freddy's Nightmares. He's fine. Keep going.
They're two different movies. All right. Coming in at number 5. Top 5 now. Top 5. Halloween 3, The Season of the Witch. This is a fun
Let's
movie.
go.
It's fucking
Tom
interesting.
Atkins.
Tom Atkins rocks. For some reason, he gets that piece of ass. Good for him.
I just love how he's an alcoholic, and it's not like a character. It's
Straight
not
up
like any
Halloween
sort of
trope. Alcoholic doctor. That's a Halloween movie trope now.
Yusef likes Night Creep.
All right, coming in at number 4. We're gonna get into it in a minute. Halloween 2018, the remake.
Oh, fuck that movie.
It's not, we're gonna get into it, but I can't be as hard on it as especially having revisited the whole sequel.
Are we, Ryan? Are we gonna get into it, or are you gonna piss your pants?
I did. I got my pee out. I'm done now. Halloween. All right, coming in at number 3, Halloween 2. Like I said, solid sequel. Follows up the night after. More kills, gory, good bottle movie. Number 2, Halloween H2O. Kevin Williamson.
Nice.
It suffers from, like I said, the only thing that makes this movie that I like, the only reason that I could see that people like this new one better than H2O is because it's 290s. That's the only thing it's got going against it.
But it came out in the 90s.
Well, exactly. But people have a thing about that. You know what I mean? They got that aesthetic in their mind. They can't help it.
In my way right now.
I love the way Michael. I love the way Michael comes back out of nowhere. The new movie spends so much time explaining what's been going on with him. I love the way he just shows
also
up. Doesn't matter where he's been. He's back. That's what fucking matters. You've got like that great scene, that great scene at the beginning with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, the skate in his face.
Yes.
That's an amazing moment. And you get to pay tribute to Donald Pleasance, Dr. Loomis with that scene. Also, his caretaker. His caretaker, the nurse, is the same nurse from the first and second movie. So they really tie up that trilogy feel. It really feels like it's part of those original movies, which I love.
What's your next pick?
You know what number 1 is. Obviously, the one that was a fucking groundbreaker. The one that made slasher movies what they are. The one that's a legend. The original. Number 1, Halloween. We get it. It's great. Hoorah.
Phenomenal.
Let's talk about that fucking remake now. Reboot pool. Hold on.
Could you snap it out of existence?
I'm going to snap it out. Now only Halloween H2O exists. Now the only Halloween movies that exist are 1, 2, and H2O. That's it. I just did it.
So Brian said this.
We don't have to talk about it.
That those 3 films, 1, 2, and H2O, run completely intact, untouched. If you do that trilogy, it's amazing.
It's a solid fucking trilogy. It's really good.
Brian, guess what?
It's like
Brian.
Nightmare on Elm Street, Dream Warriors, and New Nightmare. It was a great trilogy.
Same thing.
Either way, Joe, Brian, you're right. Because the new one is garbage. It's a bad film.
Okay, so I think it's fine.
It is.
Right. I don't think it's garbage. I think it's fine.
I do.
The problem I've had with it is...
Now, there are some parts of it that are garbage.
Oh my god!
If you like Jason, it's really good.
So what?
So Joe first, TJ, me, and then Brian can close it out. Give your thoughts.
Oh yeah, let's go.
Let's give our. Go ahead, give it up.
So I've been thinking a lot about this fucking movie, and the thing about it is they are like trying to tell you, yeah, this is the definitive movie, but it's not. H2O is better. I hate how they completely abandoned like Laurie's whole character in the sense of they set it up telling you she's this fucking PTSD like person and badass, and then they just do the stupidest fucking shit based off coincidences. Like, it's fine. There's moments I really like, but there's just things that pissed me off about it. And she was one of them. And the fact that it's getting compared right now to like T2, and like, oh, she's like
not even close.
Linda Hamilton, but not even close. It's even just the character of it. The character, like, yeah, Linda Hamilton was like 10 years removed, like 10, 15 years removed from events.
Here's
Laurie
what's tricking
Strode's
people
removed
is that
like
Jamie Lee's performance is good, but the
No,
character
it's
isn't
that,
written well.
and it's that
that's what's tricking people.
Jamie Lee is walking around also and press being like, well, this is the only movie to ever deal with the PTSD and stress from these events. No, it's not. You literally did it in H2O.
Yeah, you did it 20 years ago, bitch.
And Scream 2, 3, and 4 deal with it too.
I don't know. Yes, exactly. I don't know. The movie's fine.
In a better
They
way.
actually feature Scream 2 because of the Kevin Williamson connection. They feature Scream 2 in Halloween H2O.
Yep.
I had fun watching it. Like, I can't say that. Like, I enjoyed a lot of aspects of it. I just think it's more of getting out of the theater, being like, that was fine, and then hearing everyone jerk the film off, which more gets me over the edge.
What's up, TA? Hate it.
Yeah.
Hey,
I spent money on this film and I was upset. This movie was garbage. Minus the fact that she had 40 years to do 0 to nothing, minus than setting a trap and then shooting a hole through the floor. But at some point you think that, yeah, she's gonna do that on purpose to make him come to the floor, come down. I get it. A lot of the film was already done in H2O. With that, to use what she was doing as this, like, oh, I'm post-traumatic stress victim to a serial killer, like, it's been done before. It's not something it's new. And that's the one thing that drove me crazy about this new film was like everyone's like, hey, 40 years later, Laurie Strode's never been through this. Like, well, as Brian said, in H2O, she's been through it. Like, why would you not think that this movie would kind of fall short of what we all expected? So for me, it was Jason. All right, so for the one thing for me is Michael Myers is a theatrical killer. He stages bodies in a certain fact that you see the bodies and that makes you look away to where he's going to come. In this film, he's Jason. He's snapping necks. He's brutalizing people. He's killing a kid who wants to dance for no reason whatsoever. There's no leading into his kills.
See, I like that part about him.
I like that part.
More straightforward. It feels more like the Michael Myers from the original, which is just like kill what you encounter. Like, you know what I mean?
But he didn't. He in the original he stalked a certain group of people. He wasn't just randomly killing.
Yeah, that was reminiscent of the garage kill.
So with my whole thing with the new one is the doctor, the fake Loomis. If they would have told us spoilers for anyone who's never seen Halloween 2018, please stop. If you have, follow through.
You mean when Laurie looks at the fucking camera and goes, "You're the new Loomis, right? Get it?"
They already had him. He wore the coat. He had the accent. Like they did the whole. They literally did everything to already tell you he was Loomis.
Just own the bus crashing if it was you. Don't be like, oh, because
I would have been fine with his character as like the bad doctor who let those stupid podcasters come in and yell at Michael.
Yeah,
but then but then when they brought him in and like they basically use him as a plot device to get Michael from point A to point B, when what you should have done is if your whole thing is that Laurie's been building up her whole life to set a trap for Michael, she should have had a plan in place to lure him into her trap, not have to wait on random ass doctor motherfucker to kill and now I need to know what a killer feels like. Now I'm gonna try on the mask. Then instantly get his head stomped in. It means nothing. It's literally just to get Michael from point A to point B.
Just have her live in the fucking town. Don't put her in the middle of the woods. That makes no sense for him to ever get there.
Or like I said, her whole thing is set up, so give her the setup. Let her have a plan in place to lure Michael to her trap. Like that should be part of it. Like
I'm sorry, there's so many problems.
All right, I'm gonna jump in.
Give us your opinions, please.
So I didn't fully hate the movie. I feel like people just for some odd reason, have very low expectations in terms of horror movies, and whatever, if it's passable or entertaining, everybody goes crazy over a horror movie. But when you stack it up against
especially if it's from a beloved franchise.
Exactly.
If you bring back a beloved franchise and you just don't crap the bed, that's
Exactly.
like the bare minimum. All you have to do is not crap the bed, and you will get praise.
And they didn't.
Like,
I will say they
didn't fully crap the
didn't.
bed. That's true.
They didn't.
That's true.
But-
We have problems, but they didn't crap the
Yes.
bed.
well, and like I said, I even noted here, I think the filmmaking is really good.
The film.
That's
Oh,
the thing
David
that's going to
Gordon
give it the
Green
push
is-
for a lot of modern audiences over H2O
I
is the
think-
filmmaking of it. Like the scene where Michael, like where they hold that one shot and you see in the shadow walks around the building and then he comes in behind the girl and he stabs her. That's a really cool moment.
Yeah.
Like that's a good filmmaking moment.
There is a lot of good in the movie, but the overall logic, the overall structure, the overall the continuous coincidence for him leading up to the final sequence, it feels like they wrote the script based around the final act, and then they just backtrack to see how the hell they would get to that final act, which is a very good final act. Is a good reverse in terms of is a final girl. She's the one hunting him, but overall, they're asking us as so. This is my biggest issue. They're banking on the fandom. They're banking on like everybody knows Halloween. Everybody loves Halloween. Everybody loves Michael Myers. And they're asking us completely forget what has happened. Completely forget all those movies you like or hate or love or rewatch a million times. This is the only one that counts after the first one. Yet we're going to homage or rip off all the sequels that came
there's
before.
so much. There's
That's
so,
what I hated.
Now, to be fair, I honestly didn't think it was as bad as like something like Rogue One. Like even though I knew all the references and I was picking
Rogue
up everything,
One-
I felt
but
like it was like a softer touch.
One of
Rogue
the
One
better
isn't
Rogue
asking you
One.
to erase.
One
Rogue
of the
One is
better
not
ones
asking you
that-
to erase the previous one.
One
Right,
of the
and that,
better
I agree there.
homages
Like
that
Rogue One's at
stood
least
out-
embracing the franchise. I agree. I get what you're saying.
One of the better homages that did stand out were of course, Season of the Witch, but the Halloween 2, that long tracking shot of going in and out of those kitchens. Like, I love that in 2, and I did like that in this one, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah, the only one that I truly loved, because it wasn't exactly how it happened in the other one, was the blanket sheet, the sheet over the body, because it wasn't Michael under the sheet. It was another thing. I like that.
Michael Myers is one to plot bodies and have a theatrical kill. So we're in the very first film when he has her friends and he puts them in the cabinet and puts them on the wall and puts the Judith Myers things over a body of Tina in the bed. Like one of those things where you know Michael Myers knows what he's doing. He's not a maniacal creature at that point. So you know he has a plotting factor in these things. At this point in this film, he's literally just killing anybody he comes across who has some type of susceptibility to them, and you get like it throws you off. That's Jason. That's not Michael Myers. Michael Myers.
I like the idea that he just gets out and he doesn't, because my whole thing with this new one was like,
Yeah,
why
close it out.
would he
Close us
be
out, Brian.
coming
Close it
after
out.
Lori? I like the idea that he was just like he got out and he just wanted to start killing again, and he was just going house to house and doing his killings. Because to me, if you're going to take away the sister aspect, then there's no reason for him to be reinterested.
No,
in
I
Lori.
like that, Brian. I agree.
Because they made her find him, and that made sense to me. So I was fine with that aspect of it. But overall, just like I said, it was fine. It just wasn't as good as H2O. Like if you had better making on H2O, it would be 100% a better movie. Like if you could take this director and have him shoot the H2O script, that would be the tits. Like,
and they don't have LL Cool J.
This is an odd take, and it might go in a different direction, and I don't want to make this much longer, but I actually think I know Danny McBride and Jody what's his face? David Gordon Green did this movie. I think it would have been better with Jody Hill and Danny McBride. But anyway,
has anyone seen mid-90s? That's the key. Like, you never know what he can put in.
No, Jody Hill, not Jonah Hill.
Oh,
Jody Hills did
I like
Eastbound and Down, and it's very dark. But anyway, Brian, final thoughts on this film and wrap us out, please.
Oh man, you know, as far as final thoughts go, like I said, it's not. Here's the thing that bums me out the most about it. The thing I loved about Halloween H2O was they gave a definitive ending to the arc of Laurie and Michael.
yes.
And they fucked it up, but
Resurrection, they fucked it up because of money, because H2O was successful.
But it was awesome.
And they were like, it's like the movies. It's the cycle of you make a good movie and a good finale to your series, but then it makes money, and then they want to do another one, and then the cycle repeats itself, and that's what's going to happen here. Then this one, they didn't even pretend, no pretense. They left it wide open for a sequel.
Of course.
Here's the way they can save the Halloween 2018 sequel for me. Do it like Halloween 2. Literally pick up with Michael's charred body coming up out of the rubble and continuing his quest to kill and get revenge. Like, treat it like Halloween 2. Do a direct, immediate sequel and move right to it. That is how you will sell me on theater.
Yeah.
Another one of
so
that was the best mask, though. Best mask of the entire.
It was a good mask. Who has the next film?
Halloween.
You Joe.
Everybody's like, "Ooh, it's the best mask. I like that mask." It's the same mask they used in Rob Zombie Halloween. It's a dirty version of the original mask.
I liked it.
Yeah, it was good in
I
Rob
love
Zombie
that.
too.
I liked it.
Yeah.
So, Joe.
Final thoughts?
That was it.
Yeah.
So, I have a lot of final thoughts. So, Halloween 2018, not a good film. When
It's
it comes
fine.
to,
It's fine.
yeah.
So
Because the rest of our film.
for in 2 weeks, we are going to be talking about Drive Angry, the Nicolas Cage classic B film.
Movie, God damn it!
I can pick something else. I can pick something else.
That's good.
No, I'm never gonna. Hey, I'm not here to impede. It's your show. You take that iron fist and you do what you need to do, man.
Yeah, pick a Jackie Chan movie.
It's just on my mind to watch Drive Angry. But if you don't want to watch Drive Angry because we just did a Cage film, which I still don't think Kick-Ass was a Cage film.
I'm bringing a bunker shit to this too because we did Lord of War.
So we're gonna do Drive Angry. Brian, take us out.
Man, you know, I have to give a shout out to my boys here. You know, this show's a lot of fun, and this really scratched an itch for me. I'm a Halloween guy, and I haven't had an opportunity to do some dumb Halloween shit, and this really paid off, and I really had a good time. So I thank you to you guys for being on the show and being a part of this with me. I really enjoy it. You can find me at Hercules on Twitter. You can find the DVD Bunker. Search it on wherever you listen to podcasts. Search DVD Bunker. Search Flyover State of Film. We post this show and that show together on all the channels, so you will be able to find us. Check us out. Joe, where can people find you?
Well, bitch, you can find me on the DVD Bunker. Doing my thing. I will have an episode coming out soon on the DVD Bunker.
Man, I'm backed up, okay?
Okay, so, bitch, you won't be able to find me for a while, but you can find me on here and on Twitter, as I say, being mediocre.
How about you, Yusef? You got anything you want to plug?
Just follow me at Why I Love Movies on Twitter. I also post reviews on whyIlovemovies.com. I recently reviewed Mid 90s. I had fun with it. It hit me a little bit. It hit closer to home than I expected. It's a good movie. Go watch it if you kind of identify with the 90s. It's a short, sweet 1 hour and 24 minutes. Well, how about you, TJ?
Yeah, you guys can catch me on well, if you're watching this now, you're on Movie Squad YouTube. Catch us on Flyover State of Film reviews, Flyover State of Film trailer reactions, Flyover State of Film SmackDown afterthoughts. That's the big show. So if you guys haven't seen the last episode of Flyover State of Film and our SmackDown, check that Flyover State of Film SmackDown afterthoughts. We have our great guys of Frank Janney and Jimmy Acorn. You guys are doing the great things. Are doing the respect the game, guys.
Respect the game.
And, check that out. Other than that, find me at TJ Dex.
Let's go. All right.
Take us out, baby. Night, night.